All right, welcome everybody to the Real Sheebs podcast, a podcast for the community featuring the community. Today, we've got two very special guests. Slick and I are super excited to introduce you to if you haven't met them yet. And if you have, I'm sure you already love them. We have at the boy merch, seven. Is it a seven at the end of
Is a
your at?
seven, yes.
Yeah, at the boy merch seven. Who is, well, first of all, this is a vendor episode. So these are two amazing people who use Doge from a vendor perspective. And I also have Kevo here. And it's Kev Rat. What's your at again, Kev? Can you say it? I'm not
It's at hellokevvo.
at Hello Kevo. Okay, perfect. So yeah, so I want to welcome you guys to the show. Bienvenido.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
Good boys.
Same. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. So to kick things off, let's get to know you guys a little bit. Tell us a little bit about yourself. We ask, most of our guests, what got you into Doge specifically? Obviously, this is the Doge specific show. So, what got you into Doge? When did you get in? And just a little bit about yourself in general, if you can.
Sure.
Let's start
Yes,
with
I'll
you,
do.
boy Merch. We'll
Right.
call you Merch for short.
That works. Got into Doge. When was it? 2018, I think it was. A buddy of mine actually bought me a Doge shirt, and I was like, "What the hell is this? This is so cool!" And then I looked it up, and it was like right when it started going on Robinhood, and I was like, "Dope. This is cool. It's memes. It's money. It's all in one." I could see the potential for it then, but it was nowhere near what it is now, if that makes sense. As far as usability,
Yep.
that's what I mean by that.
Mm-hmm.
From a merchant standpoint, it really just tickled me because it's so cheap to send and it's so easy to use. Granted, there's a learning curve of getting used to using crypto as anything, but I don't know. I
Did
just
you
saw the versatility of it.
Did you go into
Go ahead.
it thinking from a merch perspective, like a
Always.
merchant
Yeah.
perspective? Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always been buying and selling things since I was a kid. So the name The Boy Merch comes from, it's actually like a 20 something year old username from RuneScape back in the day. I would go on the game, and it was an MMORPG if you don't know what it is, and I would buy and sell runes and items in the game. And that was just, I got so much enjoyment out of that, making money in the game. But that's where The Boy Merch came from, and always just buying and selling.
That reminds me of a certain coin that got created thinking about like Crossy Roads, not Crossy Roads. What is the what was the Animal Crossing?
Oh, jeez,
But
yeah.
I think this is a good time to clear up. You are not Billy.
Correct, yeah, let's go ahead and get that out in the open. Just because our NFTs are so similar. Like mine technically has red fur, and his has, I think, just golden fur, or yellow, it's classified as. But on Twitter and stuff, it's kind of difficult to tell unless our profiles are right next to each other. So I
There's
get
one difference.
What's that?
There is one difference, and I talked about this briefly. Yours has some utility now.
That's true. You got a point.
Yours
Mine has
talks.
a moving mouth and blinking eyes. I got one of my own hats on.
Awesome. So we're gonna spend probably some more time digging into, that the merchant mentality going into Doge with that, because you're gonna be the first person that I've interacted with that didn't go into it thinking like, I'm new to crypto, I want to make some money, I came
As
from
like a pump,
Bitcoin. Yeah, it's
right?
like it sounds like you kind of came into this with the mentality, the utility mentality mindset. And that's unique.
100%. And that's what people like as far as like, oh, it's going to the moon and stuff, like that's all fun and shit on Twitter. But as far as what it's meant to be, It's a currency. Use it as one. Like, it's that simple. Like, everybody whines and, I mean, Solana, great example. All they did was whine and complain about utility for a year, shut their chain on and off consistently, and then go look at it right now.
Yep.
It isn't, it's trying to be something more than what it needs to be, whereas Doge doesn't need to be anything more than what it is. You know, block time, block speed, block size, those will hopefully increase over time while maintaining proof of work, at least in my opinion. But it's a currency, and it doesn't need to be anything more than that. It doesn't have to have NFTs on it. It doesn't have to have smart contracts and blah, blah, blah. When I buy something on the other side of the planet to sell it here, Doge is the easiest way to pay for that. Hands down. Takes 2 seconds out of my node into his node in milliseconds. There's nothing else that can do that and be verified and done. That's why I think Doge is so special.
That's awesome. And it brought a tear to my eye.
Right?
It's
I
beautiful
try.
too.
Proof of stake, proof of work, right? That's the same thing, essentially the same mindset that Elon had, right? When he said it's not needed, right? It's excess.
Exactly, and that's the big. Everybody glosses over that, and they're all, you know, utility this, utility that. The utility is it's a currency. It's money. You buy things with it, or, you know, sell services with it, whatever. And that's going to be the fun part. If Doge does eventually get integrated into Twitter, of course, we all want that to happen. That's when the utility piece is going to really take off, and people can, you know, tip. You know, like we're streaming right now, people would be tipping to this for charity or something. Like, that's going to be the cool thing. That's what I'm waiting on.
Make it easier for the consumer to send Doge around, you know, like how many people understand how to copy and paste an address.
Yep.
And
Or actually
that's
send
going to be a
stuff.
big learning curve for people that aren't already in the crypto space.
Yeah, there's definitely I want to unpack that part of the conversation a lot more, but I also want to get to know Kevo. So Kev, same questions for you. You know, when did you get into Doge? You know, how long have you been getting in? What got you in? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So I actually bought Doge day one. It came out on Robinhood. So I want to say July-ish, 2018, I believe. Was that the first day Robinhood had it on its exchange? I had I never thought of it as currency, to be quite honest. So I have a little bit of a different experience, but the story is still kind of cool. I'll keep it shorter. But in 2005, this is true, on 4/20, 2005, I was walking around New York City, then girlfriend, now wife, and a friend of ours was at the now defunct Astor Place Barnes and Noble, and we said hello, and she said, "Oh my God, you got to go past the pet store over on," I think she said 6th Avenue or 7th Avenue or something. She said they have these cute puppies. So we were like, all right, let's just walk past there. In the window was a baby Shiba, and cut to 5 minutes later, I walked out with her. That was it. I was done. I fell in love, and this was true. 4/20, 2005. And so it became like, I remember, I think I'll have to try and find it, but I have a Christmas picture where I got my wife the Dogecoin meme t-shirt. I think Hot Topic used to sell it. So this is back in like 2013. So I really didn't know anything about currency and stuff. And I was just oblivious. I wish I had, because I would have been involved a lot earlier, but it took all the way to 2018, where for me, we're talking books, t-shirts. I had studied in Japan when I was in college. I was obsessed with Shibas, and having one, I was like, this is a no-brainer. And I got burnt with Ethereum and Bitcoin, so I was able to put it back into Doge, and I was like, this is just more fun. Like, I just didn't really care about anything behind the utility of like Bitcoin or Ethereum. Still really don't. But for me, it was the fact that it was created as a joke and I bought it as a joke for my Shiba was the biggest thing. I was like, if it ever makes me money or whatever, or becomes the crypto of the future, I know that I got in just because it was a Shiba as the mascot. That was it. It really only came down to that. And, I worked, I'm originally from New York, and I worked in film for over a decade, post-production on commercials. So I did that. And because of that, I transitioned into voiceovers, where I was like kind of the placeholder on a lot of commercials when we used to do, send stuff over to clients for testing. And then eventually I was cast in, people liked me and they were just like, let's just roll with that. So I did a lot of national TV commercials and radio for State Farm, MasterCard, Kit Kat, Yahoo. So I've done a lot of national stuff. I'm a union actor. I hate that word, but yes, I guess you can call me an actor. But yeah, voiceover is my thing. It's kind of slowed down a lot since COVID, but we moved to Missouri in 2016. Luna, that was our Shiba. She passed in 2020, but I've always kind of, the Dogecoin community for me is Shibas. Shibas and memes. Everybody knows me as a dude who's obsessed with memes. And that's it. I really do believe that Dogecoin is a future, and we will get into that more, obviously, because we can talk about utility and all that fun stuff. So I'm definitely mixed on mooning versus what it can be used for, but it's just exciting, and that's why I do this stuff, and that's why I'm here today. Like, it's kind of a funny, hilarious thing, and that's where I'm at. It's because of a Shiba I'm in it. That's it.
That's awesome. Have you done any voiceovers for stuff that we might recognize?
Yes. Maybe. Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what you would recognize, but the biggest thing that I did a lot of MasterCard commercials, and that was big. Those were national commercials, but you probably wouldn't recognize the commercials because they're just not like, oh yeah, that funny one or blah, blah, blah. It was just MasterCard MasterPass. So I did get to say the priceless line a lot, which was really cool. But the big one that everybody to this day was like, wait, you did the voice for that, was State Farm, the hot tub commercial, where the kid's like, can I get a hot tub?
No way.
No way.
So I did the voiceover for that, and it was kind of crazy because film was awesome, but it was draining. I worked like 7 days a week, and like, no joke, 14 to 18-hour days, and it's definitely it wears on you. It's a young person's game, and when I was doing voiceovers, like throwing myself in, I always call it voiceover Stockholm syndrome. You would basically use your voice as a placeholder, and they would just use your voice just, as the commercial was progressing, and then when it was finally time to finish it, and they would go to an audio mix house and professionally mix it and then ship it to air on television. That's when behind the scenes, the casting agents are casting, union voice actors, and they would just replace my voice. But a lot of times when you're working on a commercial, it's 3, 4, sometimes 6 weeks in a row of nightmare back and forth with clients. And they would get really comfortable listening to my voice. Some of them were just like, I don't know, just use it. Who cares? It was never like, his voice is so amazing, we need to hire him. It was always like, I don't know, just roll with that guy. He sounds okay, I guess. So that was it. And I remember getting a phone call from one of my good friends who's in advertising. He's super cool dude. And they were like, hey, can you come to, I don't remember the studio at the time in New York City. Like, we need you to record. We want to have you record for State Farm. And I was all excited. I was like running down the street. I think I like took a cab. I was trying to get there really quickly. And I get in the room, and there's like 20 people in the room at the voiceover recording studio. And they were like, dude, don't get your hopes up. They're like, we just want to put a male voice in there. Nobody else in the room volunteered. They're like, we already cast this girl. She does all the voiceover for MTV promos. So we're just throwing you in there as like the secondary voice so the clients can hear the good one and then the shitty one, and then they're going to go with the good one. I was like, oh, thanks. So I was all excited. But I did it. And the head of State Farm, when they had the presentations, was like, go with the guy. And that was it. I signed contracts like the next day. And, you know, a usual commercial lasts about 13 weeks of airtime. That commercial, the hot tub one, ran for over 2 years. And they also just kept doing other commercials and using me. So it was actually like kind of like, I would say it's like winning the voiceover lottery. It was like a dream come true. It was pretty amazing.
Pretty cool.
You're going to say you were Jake from State Farm?
I was not Jake from no, that was for free. So it was weird. The advertising for State Farm was done at different places, and anything with like Aaron Rodgers or like the discount double check had nothing to do with me. I was in like some weird ones, and some of them were so weird that they did not air. We did another commercial with the whole hot tub apartment crew with Bob Barker from The Price is Right. And I don't know what happened. And this is very common in voiceover or commercials. It like aired for like 10 seconds and then never again. But I did one with LeBron James that did air. I also did some really cool MasterCard stuff with Paul Rudd. And that aired one time only. And I think there was like a financial back and forth between Paul Rudd and his agents. And then, of course, he probably got paid a lot of money. And then for me, it was just over. They paid me one time only, and then they shelved the commercial. So that sucks, but that happens very often.
Do you mind if I play the State Farm commercial?
Please.
It's so long ago. It's embarrassing, but sure.
Everybody likes to see themselves.
I'm at the end for like 5 seconds.
All
like
right,
that's just me at the end, the voice.
We'll see how well we can recognize it and see how much you've been smoking since then.
Snatching stuff, oh, what is going on in here?
It's okay, relax. Watch this. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hey, Dave.
Wow.
Is that your agent?
It's the jingle. Try it.
You don't hear it.
Like a good neighbor.
State
Oh, you
Farm
guys can't hear
is
it?
there.
With a sandwich.
Audience can.
Oh, yeah. And the girl from 4E.
That's all that matters then.
And can I get a hot tub?
Nice.
Find out what else State Farm agents can do for you at yagent.com.
Oh man, that sucks that you guys can't hear it. I'm trying to share my screen, but it doesn't work for Discord, I guess.
Yeah, I'm married. Doesn't matter.
That's amazing. Well,
Yeah, this one
I know for sure the rest
this
of the
one is
audience recognize
not
your voice.
me. That's not me on the Jake from State Farm commercials. And the worst is, so you know they recast Jake from State Farm, like again. It's not that white dude anymore. Well, my sister is in advertising and in New York City still, and she was like, "Oh yeah, we work on State Farm." I'm like, "Hello, like, where's the nepotism now? I would love to be back in business doing some more commercials." I'm like, "What? Don't you have any pull?"
Oh man, that's cool. That's it's surreal. It's surreal hearing the same voice on that commercial.
It is kind of crazy because I've actually had people say like they're like you with your accent, and I'm like, well, I kind of try to hide it as best as possible. Nobody really wants like a New York accent for commercials, but I practiced. I had when I was able to leave my full-time film job, I basically was using the residuals from voiceover, and I got an agent. Had signed with a big agency in New York that's no longer there anymore, and I also had a voiceover coach that I would go to for private lessons, and it really did help. And I was kind of booking some good stuff here and there. It was kind of fun. I met a lot of. I still though am like that kid. Like when I go into the agencies and stuff, I come home and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I met blah, blah, blah. Like, so you're like watching The Sopranos on Sunday night. And then Monday you'd be sitting on the couch next to some of these dudes at auditions. Because some of these big actors were, the money's in voiceover for them. And it's like 5 minutes of their time. They make more sometimes than they're doing a whole TV show. or like a feature film, like an indie film or something, or Broadway. So a lot of them were take all the good voiceover stuff.
Mm,
But I would see a lot of celebrities. It was kind of crazy.
that's wild.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, we all got to learn something unique about you.
I
for
wish I
that.
kept the booth. I could have recorded in my old booth, but I didn't. I tore it down, sold all my good mics and stuff when I moved.
That's all right. Well, you'll do
It's all
commercials
good.
for the Real Sheeps podcast now. You've
I'm
made
in.
it. You've made it. This
Just
is
don't
it.
talk to me. Talk to my agent. Talk to my agent. We'll see if we can make it work.
So I want to talk to you guys about your stores, your merch. Obviously, we're excited to have you here because you do accept Doge, so that's a huge plus. Merch, tell us a little bit about what it is that you sell, how you came about it, and how it actually works on the Dogecoin side.
Sure. Yeah. So I run the blockydogemerch.com website. It is unofficial. Start with that, I guess. There's nothing really official in NFTs, I guess. But it's all based off of the Blocky Doge NFTs. That's Billy's NFT thing. I'm sure anybody listening to this probably knows that, but just for those that might not. Based it off of that just because it's so unique. And it's so, like, when you see one, at least if you're in the Doge community, you know what a Blocky Doge is. You may not know what one of the guilds are, but you probably know what an OG Blocky Doge is. I just saw that, just like how Kevo sees Keems and it's just his thing. He loves Keems and Shiba Inus
Wait. I'm gonna have to stop you right there. Keems or Cheems?
Cheems.
Is it
I say
Cheems or is it
Keems.
Keems?
It is Cheems.
It is? Is that certain? Because I'm questioning everything I know about life now.
I will just bet the poll.
I'm on the other line with him right now. It's Cheems.
We can go with Keems as well. Merch.
Whatever.
I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm going to delete my Twitter account right now and just
I
walk
always
away
thought
in
it was
shame.
I always thought it was Keems, but I don't know.
I mean, the broken English is the thing. So
I also wasn't an English major.
God, if you may be right. I don't know.
I always thought it was Keems. I don't know where I heard that, or I don't know.
It comes from cheese. That's the only reason I'm thinking it's Cheems.
Mm. Eh,
oh
something to research.
yeah.
All right.
But as far as getting back on your question,
Which I don't
basically,
remember, but go ahead.
I know, right? Me either.
I'm sorry.
I basically just chose this NFT because I wanted to do something. As far as selling merchandise for Doge. When I got back into Doge early last year, I would see there was a bunch of other vendors and they were selling socks and t-shirts and all kinds of stuff, but they didn't accept Doge. And that just blew my mind. Like, why are you going to sell Dogecoin related items but not accept Doge for it? Or it's not easy to accept Doge. And granted, at that time, Inevitable wasn't even on the foundation or anything. Or not the foundation, the core dev. So easy Dogecoin gateway didn't exist. The Doge Garden didn't exist. So I could see that, they had a website but couldn't, because Shopify and all those guys do not make it easy to just easily plop Doge in there. Thankfully, Inevitable did what he did and did make it easy. But I don't know. I just saw all this Doge stuff being sold for not Doge, and that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So I started getting into Billy's NFTs, and I was like, man, this would be really cool on a hat. And my one hat, I'll get one hat and wear it out for years. And my one hat was wearing out, and I was like, well, shit, it's time to get a new hat. Might as well just make it a Blocky Doge hat. And went down that path, and people started wanting them. So I was like, well, hell, here you go, guys. So I'm doing t-shirts soon. I've got an order for beanies in black beanies, and I'll do a handful of pink beanies as well. T-shirt is designed. I just have to. I sent it over to my guy. I'm just waiting on him to give me a proof of it on the shirt, and then I've actually got a picture of that here. I'll send it to you. But yeah, just
That's awesome.
Dogecoin related items.
I'll be in line for the hat for sure. I mean, for the beanie.
Mine's on the way.
I already got the hat. My wife.
Yeah, you've got a hat.
My wife.
Rick
wears
should
it.
be getting there probably today or tomorrow, I would think. And
Pumped.
then
I'm gonna rock it all weekend everywhere I
just
go.
put the T-shirt in the chat there, so if someone wanted to share that, they're welcome to. I haven't ordered any yet, but I'm going to be putting it on the website in the next day or so that way people can pre-order one if they'd like one. So I'll do a limited
Very
run
easy
on
to
them.
use.
Yeah,
Very simple.
that's the big thing is the Inevitable's Easy Dogecoin Gateway was completely what I needed to flip my thing on. Yeah, that's the shirt there. I don't know how easy people can see that, but it's a blocky Doge with he's in like a spacesuit, and he's got like liquid Dogecoin flowing out of his hands into a stack of Doge with the moon.
That's awesome.
Super cool.
So you took
that'll
off the
be-
helmet. You ditched the helmet.
Yeah, don't need the helmet.
Yeah. You can breathe.
Blocky head is too big.
That's
Big
awesome.
brain, but yeah, it should be fun. Just
I'm
again,
a
it's
sucker for this kind of stuff, so I'm gonna end up picking it up for sure.
bet. I'll have one saved
What were you
for you.
using?
Go
What were
ahead.
you using before? Or have you always just taken Doge? I mean, were you
I've
using any other integration?
No, so originally, like probably 6 or 7 months ago, I reached out to a Nav to try and get Doge Garden working and like figure out how to make that work, but that was super duper complicated, and Inevitable was just buried in stuff at the time, so I kind of shelved that then and more just did it word of mouth on Twitter for like the first batch or so. Which I'm surprised actually worked. It's good people trust me enough to send me Doge and then hope I send them something, which is part of the reason why I wanted to do a website because it's just a little bit more legit. It's easier to track, keep inventory, send people their tracking numbers and stuff. That's just much more streamlined. So I did everything through Twitter, and that was obviously I was only going to accept Doge doing it person to person. But yeah, once I got the website going, I wanted to make Doge Garden work, but couldn't figure it out. And thankfully, when I got Blocky Doge merch online with the Doge Easy Dogecoin Gateway, K Blueser actually reached out, and because I was having some trouble and put something out there like, need a little help here, and he reached out like immediately and was able to get it running in like 15 minutes. Dude's a wizard. So
I think that's like one of the
huge
biggest
shout out.
I think that's one of the biggest
Go ahead.
things that they should be pushing right now. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like helping anybody that is out there that maybe is looking at an e-commerce store or just educating people and getting them signed up, because the more we got in circulation in the Doge economy, the better.
100% agreed. And I think that's probably my only, like, I don't even want to say criticism because that's too harsh, I feel. One of the only things that I think would benefit Doge Garden and the Dogecoin Gateway would be like a very simple video on, like, from a Nev or someone to, like, in very layman's terms, explain how to get it online and get it up and running. I have zero idea how to do anything coding related, so I was totally flying blind. But
I will
I
say,
think that would be
though-
the one thing. Go ahead.
I will say though that what's cool about so far, like all the devs that I've interacted with, they're down to help no matter what.
100%.
Like Patrick Lauder, he just started the very.engineer site, and obviously K Blueser and Inevitable just went to you and helped you with, with everything right out of the gate, no questions asked. They're down to help.
Yeah,
And
it's
so,
one of those a closed mouth doesn't get fed type deals.
yeah, definitely. And so to the point of like, quote unquote pushing it, I would say obviously promoting it is great. That's part of what this podcast is for, right? To promote like the good types of stuff that we find. And I think that's good. But the other side is that's also on the community too. Like anyone can do that. Anyone can make a video. I don't even know where
True.
the original YouTube video that's what is Dogecoin that's on the dogecoin.com website. I don't know who made that, but I doubt it wasn't Billy. So it's like, you know, someone can certainly do that. And there's a lot of people that are down to help. I think the people that are totally cool with opening up a space and being like, here's how you set up your WooCommerce and, get the plugin and the gateway. That's great. Make a video too.
Yeah. Yeah, that would if
It
I
goes back to
knew
your original point.
go ahead.
Remember when you were saying you were going around and you were looking at all the merch stores and then nobody was taking Dogecoin, but then you struggled trying to figure it out, right? That's where it is. So I mean, just putting some sort of tutorial and getting that information out there and show people how easy it is to actually stay money in Doge. You're able to pay your suppliers too, aren't you, boy?
Yeah, I can I actually found a guy on Twitter. He was a Doge fam guy. Um, and because I was putting feelers out, like, thinking about getting this hat made, like, anybody interested? And he reached out and was like, "Hey, man, I'll make your hats, shirts, whatever you want, and you can pay me in Doge." And I was like, "Bet, done." Um, so I just, like this morning, I messaged him and was like, "Hey, I need another, 24 hats and a bunch of beanies, these two colors. Here's my shirt design. Let me know roughly what it's going to cost per shirt, and I'll send you money, or I'll send you Doge." And so he got back to me, let me know, and whenever I go to place the order, I'll just go onto my node, put his address in there, send him the Doge, and they'll show up. I don't know, probably a week later or so. Shipping's pretty fast considering it's coming from the
How
other
much is
side of
that?
the planet.
How much does that
It's
cost fluctuate on you?
um honestly, it hasn't. The last two hat runs that I've done, it's been the same price each time. Um I think it was the fiat price of Doge was it had it had been different, but it wasn't super far off. But I mean, even the quote I got from him this morning was around about the same as it usually is. So currently, there's not a whole lot of fluctuation, but I could definitely. I mean, in the event things go crazy parabolic for no apparent reason, there will have to be adjustments made.
We're definitely ready for a platform that ties these two people together. You found someone on Twitter, that's great. But if there's a platform that connects suppliers to resellers or to distributors or whatever, almost all the way to the manufacturer, that'd be amazing. Because at that point, now fiat becomes even less part of the equation.
Right.
You know what I
You
mean?
And
can do
that's
that using Twitter.
Well, what I'm saying is like, if he's gonna increase his price to you of how much Doge it costs for you to get a hat, made by him, and you can resell it, his price fluctuation probably depends a lot more on price action. Whereas if he's getting from his, the whole supply chain side, if he's getting that and he's paying Doge, now it's less price fluctuation and speculative, and it's a little bit more like just how the rest of the world's market works.
right.
Lumber
And
is
Currency.
that
in short
It's a currency.
supply, yeah, and then it's more like a currency.
Yeah, which is eventually what it'll get to, especially if XApp becomes a thing with Doge integrated. That brings stability. That'll bring everybody's on kind of the same playing field type thing. Um, that'll be when it really Doge is a global currency like it's supposed to be, not a speculative asset.
Mm. So
I think Twitter gives us that as an option, right? Being able to connect to suppliers and being an ecosystem.
I
You
think
do have
that's,
access to big companies.
I mean, eventually that would be ideal to have, regular companies being able to do business through Twitter. One of the things I'm excited for and that I hope happens is because I don't have Facebook or anything. Facebook
What?
Market, I did years ago, but not anymore. I'm hoping Twitter does like some kind of a marketplace where you can go on, have a store, sell items, because then I don't even need
Yep.
a website.
Site.
That's the
Everything's
only
in.
thing that's good about Facebook is their
She
marketplace.
cuts out 2 middlemen. Cuts out
Yeah.
the cost for the URL, right?
Mhm.
Or your GoDaddy, and then it
And the
also
WordPress. Then
yeah.
if Dogecoin is a base, because the biggest issue with websites without the easy Dogecoin gateway or Doge Garden is USD is the base currency for everything.
Mm.
So you can't just go to these people, because I tried and I called them, emailed them, like, I don't want US dollar as my base currency on this website at all. I don't want it anywhere near my website, and they couldn't figure out how to remove it because it was Shopify or something, and they couldn't. It had to be a base currency, and there were like applications inside of like how WooCommerce is a thing. There were other applications that you would have to pay a monthly subscription fee for to basically convert whatever your USD fiat value is on your website to a cryptocurrency. And then it would do it through that, but that was just like extra steps that didn't seem necessary. Whereas
Right.
Enev had already solved that problem. And it works exactly like it should, the Easy Dogecoin Gateway. Like when I go into the back end of my website, everything's priced in Doge, not in US dollars. So when I go and change something, like I put in my price of products so that way I can track everything, it's in Doge, not in US dollars. So that way I know how much Doge I'm actually making instead of fiat, because I
So
really don't care about the fiat.
this is interesting. So the reason
It's
why
'cause-
there's a base currency is because you have a locality in WooCommerce and Shopify. And they have that locality because there's sales tax calculations, and that's all based off of your base currency and your locality. So
Yep.
how do you handle tax? And you can obviously obligatory NFA. This is not, we're not tax advisors, blah blah blah. But how do you handle it if you're not, your costs and your revenue are in Doge?
A good question. I guess my response to that is, what are you taxing? Because
Well,
He's
it's
not.
sales tax, right? So
right,
Income.
but that's income based on if it was fiat value.
right.
That's the gray area that doesn't exist yet, and that's why we're still in the speculative portion of our time frame here. Because
Right.
how do I go to the government and say, okay, I owe you 3,000 Doge,
Right.
and they're gonna look at me and go, what the fuck is that? I'm gonna go,
Well,
I don't. It's money.
yeah.
I never expelled any U.S. dollars to get my product, and I never received any U.S. dollars when I sold my product.
So to be fair, the taxes are actually put on the person that made the purchase because they're exchanging the funds from one social security number to one tax ID to another. Essentially, that person's paying the taxes by making the exchange for the goods. They'll have to report that.
Well, it's
Nothing to him
sales
yet.
tax. So
Right.
you're
And
you're
the sales.
collecting it from the person, but it's getting passed through back to the government. And so that's going to be interesting. So I would think of it like, you accepted GBP, right? Pounds
Mhm.
for your product, and you're residing here in the US. So if they're saying, well, you owe us a certain amount, and you're like, no, I accepted pounds. So the government will always say, well, no, not so fast, right? What was the exchange rate at the time of your transaction? So at the very
True.
moment they clicked spend, what was the exchange rate, and that's what we want the tax off of. So as long as the US is working off of USD, that's going to be one of the things where it's like, well, we're going to take USD, but we want it as of the value of the moment the transaction happened. But
That would,
again,
yeah,
I'm
that
not a
would
tax
probably be
advisor.
how it works.
I
Well,
just
and
know
is there any?
I have a
Tax-
question, Merch.
Yeah.
Sorry. So, but if you are actually accepting Dogecoin, you're working in Dogecoin, I assume you have your own private wallet where you are collecting this Dogecoin in it. The government doesn't really know.
Correct,
At
because
all.
it all feeds into an actual core node, so it's not like
Yeah.
a MyDoge wallet or any other third party wallet. This is Dogecoin core wallet node.
Yeah. So unless
So-
you are unless you are either putting that into, because the only way for you to actually, let's just hypothetically speaking, you're like, hey, I want to, I don't know, buy something or pay my mortgage or something, and that Dogecoin is not accepted in, you would have to put it onto exchange to convert it to fiat. So if you're not doing that, technically right now, given what's going on, you're not responsible for those taxes.
Right, it's more like trading. It's more like bartering. Like I'll give you this water bottle for that, whatever pencil. The government can't tax that.
They can.
Now,
They can and do, but I do see what I see what both of you are saying. I'm only saying this as a vote of caution, right, for the broader audience. In that, one, this is an unexplored space. Two, to Kev's point, I do think that if you're not exchanging it for fiat, then yeah, basically you're just exchanging transactions. But I do know that if you trade, say, a car for something and you're reporting your taxes, they'll ask you like, what was that trade? Because it's the
And
government, man. They
that's
wanna tax
locality.
every single thing.
Yeah, that's locality dependent also with
Yeah, I'm
like
sure it is.
gifting someone a car, it's different depending on which state you're in.
Yep.
Whether they pay tax on the value of the vehicle or the current value of the vehicle, it's very weird.
Yep.
Or just operate at a loss like me at all times, and then they owe you money.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't matter that much.
Well,
But
maybe you won't operate as a loss much longer now that people know that you can wear the flag too. So it's just increased its
true,
utility.
true.
Yeah.
Not a flag, it's a cape.
Yeah.
Perfect.
The tall ones or the vertical ones, you will be able to.
Yeah, that's why I did it.
You could wear it as a loincloth.
I'll bet.
Who says I'm not doing it right now?
No, but to your point, taxes are a scary thing. A business partner years ago told me, he said you can lie to almost anybody and get away with it, but you can't lie to the government and get away with it. Never can. They'll come for you. They got endless money to come get the most inconceivably small amount of money you got.
Yeah.
So
That's why it's important. You can't just run around and hand out flyers or just run to businesses and say accept Doge if you can't talk about the tax consequences and the opportunity cost. The difference. Just taking credit card payments versus what it looks like taking Doge, and then obviously talk about the risk associated with holding it time too. So
yeah, because
there's
like
just a lot of things you have to be able to talk about.
even just like my day job, I own a car repair shop. Like
Do you
I would
accept Doge for that?
I would if someone come in here and wanted to pay me in Doge. I've told multiple people. I've got the U2's Keems, Bonk Keems, and Swole Doge in a glass case behind my desk. And some people walk in and be like, "Oh, no way, it's Doge!" And there's obviously like Doge hats all over my office, like everything.
And flags.
And flags. There's flags everywhere. But eventually someone will come in and be like, "Hey, I can pay you in Doge." It just hasn't happened yet. I'm waiting for it.
Mm.
But to your point of what I was trying to get at, if someone came in and, had me I put an engine in a Volvo last week, And that was like $5,000 or something to do. So if someone had $5,000 in Doge, whatever that is, times 0.07, whatever it is, 5,000 divided by 0.07, that's 71,000 Doge roughly right now. Doge goes to 2 cents next week. That's not going to be good. That's the hard part of where stability needs to come in before large corporations or even medium-sized corporations start using it as a global exchange currency because it's easier,
There's
cheaper, and faster.
different solutions for different things. I think the place where it makes sense the most is obviously tipping, obviously the e-commerce space, because the spreads that these credit card processors and aggregation, processors that are basically aggregators are making. But it depends solely on the demographic of who you're taking cards from. So like somebody like me in my previous role would ask you, what are you taking payments the most from other companies? Are you fixing trucks? Are they paying you with corporate cards? Or are you taking payments from somebody like me that needs my car fixed and they're using debit cards or more retail credit cards? Because there are different options. There's like gateways called PayTrace that give you like level 2 and level 3 data, to where if you just enter in the zip code and stuff, you can take almost a whole percent, almost to 1.5% off of a corporate card's transaction rate that the bank's charging. So
That's
there's a lot of
huge.
different solutions, and it is huge. And I mean, Doge to me makes sense right now on the e-commerce side more than anything now, until we can fix these things that we're talking about right now. It begs the question. I can't remember who had a post up. Somebody did a poll, like, what are the 2 most important things out of like 5? And it was curious to see who voted where. But to me, it's always been scalability and security.
Mhm.
Right? How do we scale
Hey,
this
that
to the
was
next
me.
level in the ways that we're talking?
You don't remember.
Yeah, it was
Come
you.
on.
I didn't remember who posted it. I just remember the post. But it just proves the
scalability
point
and
that these are the
security.
2 things
Yeah.
we're talking about.
Yep.
I think it was
Okay.
Matt Wallace who posted that. That's
Oh,
what-
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Doubt it.
Doubt.
So just kidding, Jimmy.
Did it
It was
finish?
Don't
Jimmy.
get me
To the
started.
moon.
To your point, I think the tipping and stuff definitely huge. Like on Twitch or something, that would make total sense. One of the biggest mainstream things I think that could happen is the Tesla supercharger network. If Tesla app
Absolutely.
was,
Yeah.
eventually integrated with Twitter and the payment system and whatever, and Doge is in there, that's huge. I mean, from a credit card processing standpoint, he'd save hundreds of millions of dollars a year.
You get
Just
killed on
in-
microtransactions.
Yeah, and
Microtransactions
that's
meaning anything under $25.
right. And last Tesla I had at a supercharger, it was, I don't know, $6 to charge the thing. So when you're doing that times the whole US, like that is an insane amount of credit card transactions.
They're not going to be. So 80% of all card transactions that are under $100 are actually put on a debit card. But to your point, that actually goes against, you think that, oh, it'll be cheaper. It's actually not, because the bank charges 0.05% for debit, but they charge 22 cents per transactions. Credit cards only charge 10 cents per transaction. So if you're running a lot of transactions, it eats that cost. That's where I used in one of those episodes, I talked about the hot dog stand. It actually makes sense to take Doge for transactions under $10, almost under $20. Because you're going to pay, if you do the math, you do $6 times 0.05%.
This dude's got a desktop
I
calculator.
was gonna say, if this thing makes like a
that better be a TI 83 plus.
$6 times 0.05%. It's not even a penny, but they make 22 cents on that transaction. So now take $6 or 22 cents divided by 6, and you're paying over 3.5% on debit. It's the same interchange cost as an American Express. About that. Yes, to your point, and that's Kevo. We need to talk about the Hyperloop. Go pay for the Hyperloop with some Doge here in a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah. 2 weeks.
Kev, are you paying your suppliers in Doge, or is that not an option for you at this point?
So, two different businesses. One is the flags, which is my own personal thing that I do,
Oh,
and the
so you
other
sew those
is
together. You do you make those yourself or
no,
sew
I
them
do not.
together?
You see, I'm sitting on a swinger right now, a classic. What are those called? A singers swinger. What? I'm sitting on a
Oh my
classic
god.
singer right now. No,
That's your other business.
So that's my other business.
I
Yo.
accept Doge for that
Um,
one.
Yep. No, so the wine business is my wife's business. But we're
You never
married
let up, by the
comrades, so
way.
what's hers is mine.
He made an appearance today.
She did. She
Yep.
rarely comes on Twitter just to make fun of me sometimes and add her 2 cents to different things. But her Good Clean Dot Wine was established by her, so I'm just guilt by association. I know nothing about wine. I just know everything about Dogecoin, as much as I possibly can, and I love it so much that we were able to. I had asked her. I said, "Listen, it's in my mind, it was a no-brainer to just add it to the website." So, but the website was already established. They were already taking massive orders and subscriptions for the wine in 44 states. I didn't want to disrupt it with my lack of knowledge on Dogecoin and Doge commerce. So I basically had reached out to Andrew at Doge Beans, and I didn't know him. I knew that there's not many people that accept Doge, as we just talked about, and we're kind of like guinea pigs here. And I had to figure out, well, I want to do it because same thing. I was looking at all these things on Amazon, these like knockoff Dogecoin T-shirts and stuff, and Zazzle and Redbubble and all that stuff, and they were collecting the merchandise, especially during the big run-up last year, but you couldn't pay Doge for a lot of those products. So I was like, no. I was like, I want to do something. So the flags are separate, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But for the wine, that's my wife right there. The go up.
On chugging the wine that fits the commentary from today's thread.
Oh yeah, she's drinking wine right now. We just drink away all the profits. But I was like, she said, if you want to figure out how to get Dogecoin on the website, go for it. So I did. And I reached out to Andrew at Doge Beans Coffee because I know that he was pretty much the only person that had like legit storefront that was really pushing it. And he was super cool. He didn't know me. We got back to me. And at the time, I believe he was using Shopify as well. So I know now he switched over, and I think he's kind of doing what you do, merch. I think it's maybe is it WooCommerce?
Mine's through WooCommerce.
I think his site is. I think Doge Beans is WooCommerce now too. But he was using. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure he was using Shopify. And remember, the wine website was already up for 2 years. A lot of money went into the site, photographers, all these different things, and coders, and blah blah blah. So I reached out to Courtney's developers out in California, and I said. They thought it was super cool. One of the dudes loves Dogecoin, and he's like, do it. And I was like, you know what? I'm not doing any other crypto. I was like, I don't care about any other crypto. It's just going to be Dogecoin. So I was able to, it was actually quite easy through Shopify, had a plugin. All I did was I created a wallet for Good Clean Wine through Coinbase, and then that was linked to Coinbase Commerce. But I wouldn't say it's super easy for like the technically impaired, but it took me overall maybe less than an hour to do it. And you don't see unfortunately, there's nothing on the website that would scream, we accept Dogecoin. But when you go to checkout, when you actually put stuff in the basket, you have an option for crypto, Coinbase Commerce, and it's only Dogecoin. So then you just receive, your code, and it's just copy and paste. Quite easy. And that number does fluctuate based off the price of the wine bottle against fiat. That's just the way we did it through that website. Yeah, it's really, we could go into
API
this.
call from what?
I'm sorry, what?
like an API call from like what? How are you able to make that possible to get it to move like that in real time? That's another
It
thing
is.
that would be.
I don't
Isn't
know
that
how
part of
real time it is, but
Coinbase's?
it's part of Coinbase. It's through Coinbase Commerce.
Yeah.
So if a bottle of wine costs $29, Coinbase Commerce is saying it's $29 in Dogecoin, whatever that number happens to be.
That's cool.
So it's cool. It is really cool, but you have to be willing to, we sell a bottle of wine for $29, and a day like today, if somebody bought that bottle at 2 o'clock in the morning, we are not making $29 for that bottle. We're making 7 or 8 or 9, so it is difficult, and I don't want it to have to be that way. But for now, I'm not saying I'm a pioneer, but you have to take that little bit of a risk right now if you are playing this game. And I'm willing to do that. But what I do is that money sits in Coinbase. I don't touch it. I don't care. And to be quite honest, it's not super high right now. A lot of people are hesitant about using their Dogecoin. So to pivot over to the flags, just like Merch said, nobody that I know was selling stuff for Dogecoin a year ago. A few people. It was hard to find, though, and a lot of the websites that had those listed up there were a little outdated. A lot of the links were broken. So I said, I'm going to make this really simple. I want to do something that I can hang on a wall or hang outside or wear as a cape because I love Dogecoin. So I settled on the flags. And the first company I bought the flags from, I will not name their name. We had a falling out, but they did accept crypto for their website. So I could pay for my flags from them. I sent them the design. They made the flags. They were made in New York. They were sewn. The stitching was sewn at the end in New York, and you could purchase it in Dogecoin. And I only accepted Dogecoin from people. I would just tweet it and say, DM me. And that's a lot of people said that you're just not going to work. No one knows you. You don't have a lot of followers. No one's going to want to DM you their address. And I took a risk because I was like, well, I don't care.
Piece of it.
But it's like, hey, this is the bottom line. We've had to deal in the community with so many people who have scammed people. If you give me Dogecoin for a Doge flag and you don't get a flag, that is the scam, right? That's it. There is no other way that I can possibly scam you. Is you pay for a product from me, I don't send you said product. It's either a miscommunication or I'm scamming you, and that's it. And then if I disappeared and I'm gone,
anyone can throw up a WordPress.
Anything.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a whole lot different. I get that people are kind of skeptical about giving, their address out, which, I mean, I understand. This is also, this is NFA and this is NPA, or this is not personal advice either. Don't go sending your address to go, to everybody you don't know. But at the same time, I mean, you're taking the same risk with any website. People were talking about SSL, right? The secure scripting language or whatever for HTTP. And it's like the verified check mark, right? It's kind of like that, some people were saying. And it's like, well, no, you could easily pay, a small dollar fee and have your website have that secure little lock icon on the top left. And it makes no difference what you do with the people that go through your website and how you build it. And so buying from someone on Twitter, same thing as buying from a website. Hang on one sec, guys. The stream appears to have cut off. So just give me one sec here. I'm going to see if I can get it booted up.
Yeah, it's just off for me.
Yep. Gypped. We can keep chatting. Now. Yeah, I'm still recording.
Okay.
We're back, right?
I blame
you. Got my flags hanging up, Kevo. Looks so good now. That's what that photo was from the real sheep. It's my little comes in here and sits on that couch and watches me twit.
You got the full setup going in there. I like that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I getting settled in. When are you coming here again?
Let's see, I'm looking at my right before Thanksgiving, Friday the 18th, just for that
Okay,
weekend.
we're back on.
Right before
Sorry about that,
Thanksgiving,
everybody.
Friday the 18th, just for that
Okay,
weekend.
we're back
Back?
on. Oop, and I had a little echo too. Sorry about that. Okay.
Yeah. So, what I was thinking too is, because everything is brand new, you have to weigh out a lot of options. And the options for me were, I'm not going to pay for web hosting, create a website, pay somebody for, money possibly to set up the website for me, or pay a monthly subscription to whatever I wanted to do, to then be like, hey, I have 42 Dogecoin flags. And then factor in those numbers and have somebody get back to me and say, well, that's a lot of money. I wouldn't want to pay for that. Okay, don't. So I was like, how can I just start it as an experiment? And the experiment was, and I think, Merch, you were involved in this at the way beginning. I had 10 flags. I lost a lot of loot for this. They were so expensive to get made, but it didn't matter. And people reached out to me. A few people reached out and didn't want to pay. Okay, no big deal. I get it. But I wanted to see who was willing to take Dogecoin and use it. That's all I wanted to do. And I wanted to see some merchandise that wasn't just like, hey, this is, the Doge logo that I stole, and it can be on a onesie or a beach towel or an umbrella from my Zazzle site. And I wanted to make something that meant something to me. It's something that I would personally buy myself. So I was seeing at some of the products that were out there, and I was like, but that was it. I just really liked it, and I thought it was something cool. And people have given me positive response back from it, and especially like the hats merch. I wear the hat every day. People commented all the time. It's unique. It's different. The flag was something like, listen, if you don't want a flag, don't buy it. But some people were taking pictures, on their dogs, on their kids, on their wall, on their flagpole. And I was like, that to me was something special. And it's kind of like pre-advertising for Dogecoin.
That's your return.
Yeah. And I keep that as Doge. I am not converting it every night. The prices are crazy. I also don't care about the price. I care more about somebody saying, I have one. I use Dogecoin to buy it. It's easy, and this is how I did it. And this year, especially with So Doge and My Doge, and actually the Doge card and Robinhood having wallets, people have been easily like, I'm just like, here, there's my address. They either tip me through So Doge or My Doge, or they just send it directly to the address that I have attached to my Twitter profile pic. And it's within seconds, I get a confirmation, and that's it. And then I mail out a product. I've sent flags all over the world. And there are some pretty crazy people, I won't mention names, that have flags. It's really kind of mind blowing. So I just think it's kind of fun, and the response has been positive, and I wanted to see more of that kind of stuff. And it's funny, no one has done it, but the original, do you have one, Merch? The original flag? The big green one?
How
I don't
big
think
is
I
the
have a
big green
giant.
one?
It's
I've got the little green one.
It's like it's the size of like an American flag. I think standard is like 3x5. So it's pretty big. And the color was not exactly what I wanted.
Oh,
But
that was the neon one, right?
it was very, very, I wanted neon green, and it became more like it almost looked like Vitalik's Dogecoin t-shirt. It was like a very Kelly green. But I really did it initially. I wanted people to put it behind their computer on the wall and use it as a green screen to key out when they were doing like video chats and stuff.
Oh.
So you would just basically see different, you could change anything you wanted, but you see the Doge logo.
That's
That'd be
clever.
Technically you could do that with anything, with a flat wall, but the green was just really kind of funny, but nobody did it. But it was pretty cool. And at the time I had less than 100 followers, and people reach out to me and they're like, let me get a flag. And it's really kind of a cool experience. And I will tell everybody, I'm like, Doge only. That's it. I've had people say, oh, well, my Doge is tied up. And I'm like, okay, let me know when it's not and get back to me. No big deal.
My Doge is tied up. It's always
Yeah.
tied up.
When wallets? I don't know. That's your problem.
It's tied up with FTX. Well, stop lending it.
It's an FTX.
I imagine there's a lot of people this week that got tied up when they bought at 11 and it's sitting at 7 now.
Yeah,
Wow.
Is that what they mean by
Jimmy,
being
can you
tied
animate
up?
me raising my hand? No, I think what people meant was that they didn't want to use their Dogecoin because it's going to go to $1 million in a week. That's what they were told on YouTube, or they
Certain
did.
folk.
Yeah, and at the time, a lot of people got into Dogecoin because of the hype that was surrounded around Elon Musk and a lot of the stuff that happened last year early on. And as you know, if you had it in Robinhood, you couldn't get it out. There was no way for you to copy and paste an address at the time and send it on. So,
Good thing.
and that brings me to Jimmy, you can segue to whatever you want, but I definitely want to talk about the ease of using Dogecoin versus how much easier it needs to be for everybody to start using it. Because I think everybody in this room is pretty technically savvy, and I still think we have a ways to go, and I'm
Still an
excited
idiot.
for that. But
I'm Chief Idiot Officer, in case you didn't know.
yeah, no, I know, but
yeah, that is a good segue. I want to ask you one more question before we move on to that, because I do want to talk about that, and I think this is kind of a good move into that. But for that price fluctuation and people saying, my Doge is tied up, and then for you, obviously, you talked about, if you sold it at 2 a.m. this morning, that would not necessarily be a good thing. Do you think that this volatility encourages merchants to just hold, not just buyers and users, but merchants themselves?
So you're saying if Merch and I
no, merchants. So just merchants.
Yeah,
in
no,
general,
I'm saying
he knows what you mean.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean, but you're saying okay, for example, somebody you bought a flag for me at 420 Doge, and I'm looking at the price kind of plummet today. You're asking me what would I do with that, like Doge? Am I converting it, or am I letting it sit and thinking this is just a stash pile? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Is it kind of incentivizing you to do that, right? Like if it mooned tomorrow, would you be cashing out your merch sales?
No. Personally, no, but I can see why somebody would. If it was, I can't speak for everybody, but in my personal experience, the Doge accumulation is more fun and important to me than the conversion. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Future opportunity.
Yeah, I don't
future opportunity.
I don't see, especially right now, I don't really care about taxes. I know people got to be careful, blah, blah, blah. I look at it like if I'm going to go to Vegas and I win $1 million, I'm not going to bitch and moan out the door when I walk away with $500,000. So I look at that as crypto right now. That's just the harsh reality of it. You're going to get taxed. If you are on any sort of an exchange, you're going to get taxed. It's just how it goes. If you're using H&R Block versus me, who uses my account in New York City, that's a different story. I think that, go back to the boy here, the two most important people in your life are your mechanic and your accountant. So I think that I don't worry as much as other people seem to go kind of panic and oh, well, I've made many bad Doge decisions and I made good ones. I've bought Doge at 7 cents and then bought it back at 9 and sold it at 10 and then bought it back at 5 and made profit. I don't care. But that's eventually you'll pay taxes on your profits. You're not paying them off the loss. But in terms of back to, where we're discussing in this conversation, the wine business operates different than the flag business. For the flags, it's all about me having more Doge, because when Doge finally stabilizes, I am using that, and hopefully more and more businesses are accepting it. And I'm just going to use that in one. I have that, have my wallets. I would rather, if I lived by you, Merch, I would pay for my car fixes in Doge. I don't think of it as oh, well, today that number is better in fiat. Let me just use my credit card. I want to accept Doge and use it at the same time. The wine business, sales aren't that great in Doge. I'm going to be honest. A lot of people were excited and they'll retweet it, but Twitter Doge is a really kind of a small community. I'm not on Reddit. Sometimes people see the price of the wine, and I will say everybody comes from a different background, different demographic. I think that what's expensive for somebody is not expensive for somebody else. So that's a personal thing. If you want to use your Doge to buy wine, it's an added bonus if you're into Doge. That's just basically what it is. But I never look at conversions because right now we're so early on. I just don't think it just kind of sucks. I mean, there's no other way to put it. I sold flags at 30 when Doge was at 30 cents US, currency exchange. I didn't exchange that into fiat, so you could say, well, you lost a lot of money. But the way I look at it is, but I accumulated Doge, and I was able to buy Cyber Whistle. I was able to buy hats. So I look at it that way: is I'm accumulating my future currency. That's basically it. Whether that's high or low or it stabilizes, I don't care. I love it.
I want it to security and scalability to catch up.
Correct. And I really do want it to stabilize. I don't enjoy what's going on right now. I don't look at it like, oh, it's this dip opportunity. I've been involved in so many dips upon dips upon dips upon dips that I really would just rather see the hype disappear and we can start talking about the utility again.
It's actually just one long dip. I don't know about dips upon dips. It's just one slow.
It really hasn't gone back up and
spiral.
Slow burn, baby.
So you were talking about ease of access, accessibility, both from a vendor perspective and a shopper and tipper and end user. Where were you headed with that?
Well, my basic concern is I try to look at like the way I look at like when I talk about Wi-Fi with my wife. She doesn't care. So how can I explain it? And it's, in terms for somebody who gives a crap. So my concern, and this is always my concern.
Million pieces and flying over our heads.
Basically. You really want to, if I was to say, if I'm going to somebody that I meet, randomly and say you should use Dogecoin, they're going to say why? Because it's the crypto of the future. It's the future currency. Okay, what does that mean to me? Everybody wants to know what it means to them. So how do you get them to use it? And you cannot go to them and say, well, okay, it's really simple. So just show your driver's license, scan it the front and back. You got to go onto this website here, and you have to wait 7 to 10, 15 business days. And when that's done, then you're going to have it on exchange. So then you just transfer your money onto the exchange, exchange it into Doge, but definitely don't keep it on the exchange, because if you keep it on the exchange, you're really just giving your money over to corporations and people who are going to short it.
FTX.
Keep going. So, and then, for $80, just go to Best Buy or Amazon. You can buy this Ledger wallet and just put it on this wallet, but don't lose that wallet, and don't lose your coin, and don't lose your phrase, or you're going to lose all your money. Yeah, not your keys, not your wallet. That's the way we think about it. Everybody at that point, my mother-in-law would be like, you know what? I'll just use my Visa card, thanks. So I know I joke a little bit, but I'm kind of not. I think that we are all pretty savvy. We chat among this bubble of people in the Doge community, and everyone's like, dude, it's a no-brainer. Just buy a Ledger wallet, and it's your crypto, and you just you're good to go. And I'm like, well, how does that help the average person who wants to get involved in Doge? Most average people, let's just go back even to let's just say today. I use an iPhone, or you use an Android phone. What's the first thing that they're going to do if you say you should buy Dogecoin? Let's just say they don't even have a computer, okay? They just have a phone. Where are they going to go? They're going to go to the App Store, and you can maybe get them onto, let's say, My Doge Wallet, right? Is there any other options out there that are accepted? I know that there is a Dogecoin. Yeah, through iOS. On Android, there is a Dogecoin Core Wallet, right? Or Dogecoin Wallet official.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they download that app. What's the next step? Well, the next step is they cannot purchase Doge through the app. You can't purchase it through My Doge. You can't purchase it through Dogecoin Wallet. You can, in fact, purchase it through the Doge card.
Yeah, what's that company? What's
That
the
is-
company though that they use?
They
on
use
my
it
Doge?
through.
It's the same
hold
one
on,
Coinbase uses.
Yeah, I'll tell you in a second because
Ironically.
I actually have it, and I really do
Unironically.
like them. Whether you guys like it or not, I really do enjoy it because I think it's a great example of what So Doge and My Doge
Liquidity
can do.
Financial.
Is it? No.
What the card says. Doge card is made by Liquidity Financial.
Oh.
Says it on it.
Yeah, but they it's zero. Is it zero?
Evolve.
That's an
Zero
FTX
hash.
subsidiary. Oh no.
Oh, shit.
So when
What's
you purchase
the one you use when you swap
it's in-
Polygon?
It's in zero hash. That is what if you buy Dogecoin or sell Dogecoin in the app.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
It's
It is
zero
zero
hash.
hash. Yep.
So, and there's issues with that as well. But my point of the whole conversation is that
Your mother-in-law can't get it if she wanted it without having you
But
hold her
she-
hand every single step
Correct.
of the way. Yes.
And my mother-in-law is not. She's just an example of anybody. I mean, can you go to your wife, Jimmy, and say, "Hey, buy Dogecoin, go"?
No.
And a lot of people, see, and
No. She
so
would roll her eyes
we're
and be
kind of
like,
like,
we're finally at this point in our relationship. I'm leaving you.
I think everybody's just exhausted from having.
You got a hat.
yeah.
Yeah.
Please take the flag out of the bedroom. I'm exhausted.
But I like to wear it.
Think about how much hand holding you've had to do from a technology standpoint the last 10 years with just your parents alone. Also, now we got to teach them about crypto wallets.
How often do you guys use? Is everybody here? I know, Merch, you're on Android, but so maybe Google Pay or Android Pay. But just this year alone, when I was in New York City, and I was using my app, Apple Pay, for every single place that I went to, and I think a lot of it was because of the implementation due to COVID. So where are we with Dogecoin when you can use your phone and you can download an app within 5 minutes, put money, link it up if you want, link it up to your debit card or your bank account, so you can easily just buy Doge in that app and then tap to pay and you're good to go.
Yeah.
If that was the case, why would we wouldn't even be having half these conversations, right? About conversion rates and this. You wouldn't think twice about it. You'd buy Doge and you'd have it sit there. It'd be no different than if I was visiting a foreign country and I was like, I would never go, oh, damn, the euro's not doing well today. I guess I'll wait till tomorrow to go to the ATM because, I'll just wait to eat. You don't really think about it that much.
No, that's a great
I take a minute to
point.
kind of do that with Robin.
That's my rant and rave, but you get what I'm saying.
I
think
100%
that
agree.
There has to be.
I've been kind of tweeting about this with everyone's got their ideas for Elon, right? Elon, this is how you should run your company. I obviously know better. So when I shout out my ideas, it's like I'm thinking from a Dogecoin integration perspective, it needs to be extremely easy. Like in the app store space, right? They have what's when you're coming up with an MVP product for an app, it needs to be engagement, and like you need the hook and you need the sell for your end user within 2 minutes. Less even, really, because our attention span is probably shorter thanks to all of the social media and everything we go through now. So because of that, you need to be able to do it in the minimum amount of clicks, and it really shouldn't involve more than 3 clicks to get fully engaged, which is why most apps work right out of the gate without a lot of them get rid of signups. TikTok, you can start watching TikTok videos without logging in and setting up an account, and it starts throwing stuff in your face. That's how Dogecoin integration needs to work in order to be successful, because today it is nowhere near close that, even if you are tech savvy. You have to download. It's all the stuff that you blew through in a couple of seconds, and it was a joke, but you literally summed it all up. And all of those steps are lengthy. They're very lengthy. The first time you download Dogecoin Core, it takes 2 hours just to sync it.
Mine took like 48 hours.
Oh, well,
That's because you've got that Metro PCS internet.
Oh,
Yeah. Why do I have Cricket Wireless? What's wrong with me? Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I love to sit here and say it's the future. It's so easy, and then someone's like, "Oh, explain it." I'm like, I don't know how to. I can't. You don't want to be that. You don't want to do that. And
Yep.
there are two camps of people in the Doge community. Let's just split it to two. There's the Moon, Wen Lambo, and then there's a lot of us here that really do see potential. And last year, while all this stuff was going crazy, I was on a Spaces, and I was basically like, you got like Slim Jim. Is it Slim Jim? It's like a no-brainer for them to do all this stuff. But you know what? Everyone's like, well, when is Slim Jim going to accept Dogecoin? I'm like, dude, first off,
how?
How
Yeah,
is
what are
the
you gonna
question?
do?
They
Go
are
buy
not-
a box of 2 tons of meat sticks?
I need a
they're a
pallet.
manufacturer. You
They
can't
are
go to
a
the Slim Jim
distributor.
store.
Yeah, they are.
Agra.
There is no actual physical brick and mortar Slim Jim store, unfortunately, not yet.
Bullshit.
And,
It's ConAgra.
and that's the other thing.
Two
And
Slim
I remember
Jims.
just getting so heated and angry about it. And I was like, why am I getting so worked up? But like when everybody was like shitting on McDonald's, I was like, listen, you want to make change? Make a presentation. I worked in film. 90% of the time was never about making the coolest, hippest commercial. That stuff was done in London. That's our London office focused on that. They wanted to win awards and work with like Chris Cunningham and all these cool directors and do music videos. In New York, it's advertising is money. When we present a commercial, it goes to a boardroom of white men in their 70s. And they go, somebody has to sit next to them and hold their hand and say, well, this is really cool for the kids. Like
What?
they
How
don't.
much money am I going to make on it?
Exactly.
Give a
And
shit
believe
about
me,
all that stuff.
that's what happens. So when everyone's like, "Oh, this is bullshit," McDonald's didn't accept Dogecoin. I could give you 5 reasons. I'll just tell you right now what their biggest concern is. Probably in a boardroom meeting is probably who owns the logo and will I get sued if we put a logo on our store. Is probably their biggest concern. They don't even know who are they going to email or call if they have an issue.
Billy.
What? Yeah. He loves.
I have a Twitter handle
he loves
for
taking
you.
phone calls.
Tweet at him.
But am I wrong? Like, would you be afraid if you were, let's say, I'm going to use Wendy's because I used to work
100%.
on
It
Wendy's
needs to
commercials,
be
and
plug
they
and
put
play.
their logo.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And, they might be like, wait a minute, we can't do this. Or what happens when, let's say somebody who will shall remain nameless
Matt
starts
Wallace?
tweeting some.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. We'll just say Bat Mullis. I don't know who he is. Let's just say he says something's, super cool and intelligent. I'm using air quotes.
Oof.
And all of a sudden that price goes down and Wendy's thinks that he is the main person that they're supposed to be communicating with. So I know it is decentralized. I know it's the Wild Wild West, but I do think that, and I will give them a lot of credit, the Dogecoin Foundation has stepped up a lot in the last year because they kind of have to. And I think that there are a lot of bad people out there that want to take advantage of this. And it's kind of a bummer that a lot of these big companies were like, yeah, man, Dogecoin to the moon. Like, we're all in. But when you said, okay, are you going to accept it? They're like, it's crickets.
Yep.
They're not doing it.
Logistical
And
nightmare right now.
yeah, so how do you go to, if I'm going to a boardroom with a VHS because they still use VCRs, I'm having a video presentation made. I'm wearing a suit, and I know that's not Dogecoin's cool thing to do, but maybe if somebody knows somebody at a business that they want to accept Dogecoin, they're going in there with a PDF or like a PowerPoint presentation. I know it sounds lame, but you kind of got to hold people's hands and explain to them what is the benefit, and to them, what is the financial benefit of accepting Dogecoin. And last year it was a no-brainer for a lot of companies, and a lot of big companies did not jump on. I don't know why, but really they could have. It was a no-brainer at that point.
Well, it was free marketing.
It's different.
Yeah.
It was
free
actually
engagement.
free advertising for everybody.
Yep. Free engagement.
The
Go
difference
ahead, Slick.
between what's the difference between somebody, us as a community going after McDonald's versus say a poop token trying to get Billy, It's the same thing, right? Our priorities are out of line. Where's the biggest impact right now that can happen? It's helping people understand the e-commerce side of it, help them dipping their toes into the water, educating them on the financial risks, the market risks, tax risks, all that stuff. You could type up a PowerPoint, but if you send, what's a good word for it? I mean, if you just send some crazy person in there, they can't really speak to it. Well, nothing's getting done. Everybody's wasted time at that point, and therefore that opportunity is probably not going to happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's the same
that's
thing
kind of like what
sales.
Twitter is
A good
every day
salesman versus a bad salesman.
When we're tweeting every day, when Burger King, and Burger King's like, we're just engaging. We're not, have no intention of accepting crypto.
Thanks for the marketing.
But
that'll be $8.
Yeah, but Slick, you're right. And I think that what happens is, you go, let's say I go to Target today, and I'm there a lot. I love my Target. I love my Target. I'm there today, and I see what they use to take Apple Pay flawlessly. And I'm looking at the machine name. I write it down. I come back to you guys, and I say, okay, Target, one of the biggest companies in the world, is using, I don't know, let's just for fun, let's say Square. Okay, they're not, but whatever their point of sale, is that what they call POS?
Yep.
Whatever they're using, how can Dogecoin write code for that? That's a step. And I can't speak for people who are doing those things, and I commend anybody who's working on that stuff. But is anybody actually working on that stuff?
No, that's
it's
POS
bigger than
I can
that.
get behind.
Even bigger than that. I mean, you got the logistics, like the how does that work and tie into the inventory piece too, right? There's so many pieces. And
one thing I think of with that is these massive companies. McDonald's is an example. Say they accept Dogecoin, yay. Someone at McDonald's has to set up a wallet for all this Doge. Like, there's no easy way for a company, unless you're Elon and you understand it, to go out and be like, I'm, a big company, I've got all this money, I need a Doge wallet because we're going to sell products in Doge. Where do they go to do that? Do they go get a core node? It's almost, we're a decentralized entity, basically, but big companies are going to want that comfort of centralization.
Absolutely.
That's a good point.
And how do you explain to somebody that? And that's the other thing too is, and this is on a smaller scale, but I'll start on a smaller scale, is let's just hypothetically speaking, I create a new storefront and I want to accept Dogecoin, So I would love to be able to go to dogecoin.com, download the wallet, which I can do right now. But I also want to be able to reach out to somebody on the website in support. I also, maybe it's a live chat. I know I'm asking a lot here, but I also would like to be able to get either stickers or PDFs that I can download where I have the official logo and the accept Doge fonts and sizes. So I can create this for my website. And I also want the stickers so I could put it on the door next to my Google Pay and my Apple Pay and my Square logo. I think those are little things that do make a huge difference in terms of legitimizing it.
So have you guys heard of the term on-prem? It's from a business perspective, if you're setting up all your software to run your company, and that software does your transactions, it handles your POS and stuff like that. On-prem means it's on premises, right? So you have your own hosting servers, you've got a bunch of computers in the back of your corporate office, and everything is working on the intranet, not internet, but intranet to connect to your servers and transact data. So when the term cloud came out, a lot of businesses got a little scared of the term, and people were reluctant to move forward with it because it was, to your point, like who do I contact, right? The servers are on Amazon warehouse servers, AWS, and there's we're shifting all our data off-prem now, and now like where do we go? Where do we go for support? And then this like ecosystem of support structures pops up. So there's a support structure of like, we handle, you're going to go to Amazon now if you have an actual warehouse issue. data warehouse issue. You're going to go to the physical warehouse if you have a physical warehouse issue. And if you have issues with your API connections or whatever, you're going to go to the agency that helped set up that plugin or is a full-time agency that supports that kind of thing. From a Dogecoin perspective, the way I see it is there's room now where it's the wild, wild west. There's room to grow in a new sub-economy of that. So if Twitter comes out with Merch's idea, which by the way, I love, right? A storefront here, and a store says to pay me, instead of going to the traditional POS and walking up to the counter and paying with Square and swiping your card, instead you're going to whip out your phone, you're going to open up Twitter, you're going to go to my handle, and you're going to pay me, and I'll see it right then and there. Maybe my handle or maybe my store, right? I'll have a link and you can, or a QR code on the front, and you can scan that. I mean, we're already doing that with menus again. So it's as easy as walking in the store, scan the QR code, go into the merch store, make your payment, and be done with it. And then if you've got issues, who's supporting that infrastructure? Well, the Dogecoin Foundation is obviously there to support core, things like that. If there's issues regarding the actual infrastructure of Dogecoin, but then for the most part, no one's really fielding stuff to them. Now it's going to Twitter. Where's the Twitter support? Well, they're the ones that built all these connectors. They built the platform, and it's like, if a transaction's not going through, why? And those database engineers are the ones that can look up that and have full lifeline. And that's the centralized, I guess, support comfort blanket that people need.
Let me run something else by you.
Yeah.
From a volatility standpoint, think about what would happen if McDonald's says, I'm going to accept Doge, right? They create a wallet. McDonald's isn't going to be Doge crazy like, say, Merch or Kev, right? They're not holding on to that. They're cashing out of that. So wouldn't that essentially be pulling money out of the ecosystem and therefore creating more volatility?
It would. If they are just going to convert to USD, yeah, it's like the Verifone thing. Because Verifone,
we don't
point of
want
sales,
McDonald's to accept it.
Right. That's that kind of goes opposite of, unless they're going to hold it, then yeah, that's, otherwise they're just going to dump it and crush the price to nothing.
Well, they're
Especially with the amount of
not
volume.
selling it for nothing, right? For it to go back into circulation, they have to sell it to someone.
Right.
So someone's
I'm just
still
saying that volume,
buying.
at least right now, there's not enough buyers to outweigh their selling volume.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're assuming
Look at how
though
many
that
cheeseburgers are bought every week.
We're going to be assuming that they're changing these, this once a week or once a night. Maybe they're not, especially if people. I mean, this is all hypothetical, but there's no point of exchanging it when there's more trust in Dogecoin than there is in the U.S. dollar. At that point, you would hope that if McDonald's actually comes out and accepts Dogecoin in a hypothetical scenario, Dogecoin is stabilized at that point. If they're jumping on the bandwagon, Doge is not $9. It is stabilizing around $1 something. Hopefully. And at that point, no one's rushing out to exchange it every night and get it out of their way. Because if you are doing that, whether you're McDonald's or me or any of you guys, then you probably shouldn't accept it because you have no faith in it. If you're that afraid by the end of the night that you're going to be like, well, I want to dump this crap because I don't know where it's going to be tomorrow morning. And I know everybody right now is just kind of like, where are we at? But that's kind of like, I don't think that anybody in their right mind is going to accept Dogecoin on that scale unless it's kind of replaced the majority of what we're using US dollar for.
I think you get it until there's regulation either.
Yeah.
That
ahead, Merch.
one way that could work though is it would have to come from the inside. But if the employees wanted to be paid in Dogecoin, because I was thinking, okay, they're going to be, they sell $1 billion worth of hamburgers every day. Say 1% of that is Dogecoin sales. So you got, what is that, $1 million bucks a day coming in Doge. Say, your suppliers, your beef people, the potato sellers, they're probably not going to accept Doge. But if you started it as employees that want to be paid in Doge, then they have something to actually use the Dogecoin for, not just convert it to fiat to pay whatever. That could be an option too.
And it comes back to the whole scalability, building out backend, hanging into current softwares, all that stuff, right? We're not there.
Yeah. I mean, it's baby steps anyway, right? How many employees are going to want to get paid in Doge if they can sell a burger, but then now the only place they can buy food is McDonald's because it's the only one that accepts Doge?
Well,
Hey, that's why you're working there in the first place.
Yeah, there is one person that we could possibly get on this podcast to help us understand what it's like to get paid at the top, and that's Tom Brady.
Oh, you're right.
And not to mention, they put all that money into FTX.
And FTT. So it's worth
interesting.
$650
They got
million,
burned
worth
more than
probably
Tom.
nothing.
And he's getting divorced from Giselle. This guy's he may be the greatest football player of all time, but what's going on?
Tied in there, both their net worths together. I mean, into that, I imagine that probably has something to do with it. I wonder, how much this was out there, you know what I mean, before it happened.
Who knows? I wish I was at that level to have these issues.
He's never gonna be able to retire now.
No, he's gonna be for Tampa Bay 2069 champions.
Yeah, makes sense why he's still playing now.
God,
he lost all his money in Bitcoin.
Yeah. I was actually, I didn't mention this before, but one of the reasons that I have Dogecoin was also a friend of mine who is very loaded, hedge fund dude, told me that Bitcoin was going to go down to zero, and I kind of panicked. And I think I had maybe 1.5 Bitcoin at the time. So I took a huge hit on that and just bought Dogecoin with the hit money. And I'm super happy I did. And I realized I was like, I have
with hit money.
Yeah, you know it. But it was like buying and investing in the funny money, fun stuff versus where I find Bitcoin to be boring. And I just, at this point, I think everybody over the Thanksgiving table is just tired of listening to people talk about veganism and Bitcoin. I want to talk about Dogecoin.
Yeah, but
it sounds like you might know where Jimmy Hoffa is.
If it becomes a standardized currency, I mean, that's going to make it a little boring, isn't it?
Yeah, but
how do you keep the fun?
Well, the fun, I mean, if you really wanted Dogecoin to really be the standard, like the currency of, digital currency of the future, like the one and only, or let's just say one of the top three, the most logical move from a financial standpoint would be to change the name. So the fund will always stay if it's still called Dogecoin. I think that if you are a business person, and go back to my 70-year-old white men in a board meeting, the name Dogecoin itself is probably one of the main reasons they're like, nope, next, moving on. Where Bitcoin sounds cheap and it just sounds professional. And I think a lot of that, and this is my personal take on it, it is always going to be the joke coin, and that's the only reason why we're here right now and why it stands out from all the other ones. There are a million different currencies, or at least there are a dime a dozen. So the fact that it's a joke is the only thing that's keeping us afloat right now. I truly believe that.
Why are you here still? I mean, why did you choose Dogecoin over, let's say, Litecoin?
Well, first off, I didn't even know Litecoin existed, and I know I'm very late to the game with all this stuff, but maybe a little early to Dogecoin, 2018, not too bad, but I bought it as a joke. I really did. It was a joke meme coin, and I bought it as a joke because I had a Shiba. There was no other reason. I had money to blow, and I bought it. That was it. I never ever did any research beforehand. And I was like, well, this could be good. I really did buy it as a joke, and I was like, wouldn't it be funny if it hit a penny? That was it. Now things have changed, and I've changed my opinion on it. I'm no longer like when Lambo. I'm more like, this
stability
means something to me. I really do see potential. The problem is we wouldn't be here at this point without Elon, but we also wouldn't be here at this point without Elon. Does that make sense? We are in a really weird position right now, and it hurts. It's a double-edged sword. So I think things need to change, and I'm willing to help any way I can. And that's why we're here right now. I mean, who else is spending 2 hours talking about Dogecoin? Not many people. You have to do that. You have to be that, you have to sell hats. You have to sell flags. And even though it's niche, it doesn't matter. And that is the main thing, is that you have to create a podcast and give 2 hours out of your day when you could be working a job to do it, because not many other people are, but yet people are listening right now, and they might be like, you know what? I had an Etsy shop. Why don't I convert it to a Dogecoin shop? I watched this video, or I reached out to merch. I reached out to, some of the Doge developers, and these guys helped me set it up. And now I'm able to reach out to more people and getting retweets, and people are like are getting involved. People gave me so much crap and tried to correct me when I kept on saying Dogecoin. I was doing hashtag Dogecoin, and I kept tweeting out, buy it, sell it, spend it, use it, or it disappears. And people were like, no, you mean HODL. And I'm like, no, I don't actually mean HODL. I don't at all. You don't HODL it. Like, use it. Even if McDonald's, like what we were talking about, even if McDonald's hypothetically makes $1 million Doge a day and sells it, it's getting circulated back out for other people. It's not being hoarded. It's not going to become
people to buy at a low price.
Yeah, and they can, or just buy it in general and use it. You should be able to go to any ATM, a crypto ATM or whatever in the future, and say, I'm just going to buy Doge today just because I feel like having some, and then I'm going to use that. It should be that simple. And I know we have a long way to go, but like, it circle back to the one app to rule them all. I really wish there was one place where we could do all this, because it'd make it a lot easier for the average person to jump in. If they can do that, maybe they're just putting $10, $15 on it. That's all it takes to be able to. And I don't even care if you want to go and spend it at whatever that place is. Not Qdoba. What's the other one? Chipotle. And you use BitPay. Yeah, it's kind of like a workaround, but are we all in agreement? You're kind of happy that the news was made that you could spend your Doge there? Yes or no? I don't know.
Marketing.
Yeah, it's definitely marketing. I mean, companies make money. That's all they care about. They're not like, this is exciting, I love Dogecoin. That's why it was kind of a breath of fresh air when Vlad from Robinhood was like, I really fought to have Dogecoin on our exchanges. He's like, nobody else wanted it. I really liked it from the beginning. That's what it takes.
Kraken did.
Yeah,
like if you have an Etsy store, if you're doing $1 million on an Etsy store, if you go back to that 3.66%, all in cost to take that on a debit standpoint, if you move that over to Dogecoin, it's a $36,000 a year savings. So there's your value. The problem is that's also your risk tolerance, right? So if you're
and also, sorry, go on.
Oh, that's you understand what I'm saying. So that's essentially your risk window, right? So at some point you should be selling within that point, because you're defeating the purpose of why you would want to use Doge versus, let's say, a PayPal or any other aggregator.
And also, those websites, hate them or love them, or I should say those apps, they are built up already. They have a huge following. So it is great. It would be great if Square accepted Dogecoin. It would be great if, I don't know, Visa or something, big places where you can actually convert money, accept the Dogecoin. I know it's like not the correct pathway of what I would like to see, is still better than no pathway at all. And I wish the Dogecoin core wallet was just downloaded for Mac or PC, Mac or Windows, and you can buy Doge on it, and you could also sell Doge on it, and you could send Doge on it. That would be ideal, because right now I really don't even use my Dogecoin core wallet anymore. I use my Doge, I use SoDoge, and I use my Doge, what is it called? The Doge card. That's it. Because what's the point, right? Like, why? So if you're a small business or you're an Etsy shop, you should be rewarded for accepting Dogecoin. And not just by me and you guys, but by having an app that's updated, or a software that's updated, and knowing that you can keep it on there, not have to worry about it or convert it or use it on there, would be the whole point of it for me personally as a decentralized crypto. Does that make sense?
Very interesting conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I apologize if I'm going on crazy tangents, but Dogecoin gets me all
everybody's
worked
different.
up.
It's good.
No,
points.
but I mean, I do have a passion for it, and I do think that like I get frustrated because I really do see potential. And I mean, I wish I was smarter. I really do. I wish I could create my own app. I wish I could have all these PDFs and hand them out to people and tell them how easy it is and just show them like, boom, just download this app in 5 minutes. You got Doge. I want that to happen. I think that's the first step.
Problem is the KYC on that. Like, it is, to your point, if you were to buy, sell, whatever on the core wallet, that would make the foundation require like collecting customer data, and that goes like decentralization out the window. Would it be nice? Definitely. Is it possible? I don't think so.
What if they set it up similar to the way the Doge card set up where, yeah, it kind of sucks, but like, what if they went through an exchange? What if you were on the Dogecoin core wallet or say Dogecoin wallet and you wanted to buy Dogecoin? Instead of going to an exchange, they just had a button in their app that allowed you to purchase from an exchange. Yes, it kind of is a bummer because the exchange is being involved, but don't you feel like at this point the exchanges have to be involved? There's just no other way around it? Unless you're a miner?
I don't know if you're familiar with Robinhood's card, right? I have two cards, right? I have a lot of Doge on my exchange. I have two cards. I have one that's used for roundup rewards where I designate a couple $100 to go into my spending account on Robinhood so that when I'm out paying transactions, I use the roundup rewards. So if I buy something for $4.75, it goes to 25 cents. And then that 25 cents goes into a pool at the end of the week to get invested into my selection, which I have chosen for Dogecoin. And they match up to 90%. So I might, if I have $5 in there, they might match that up to 90%. So I might get a good chunk there. So they also have a card where if I want to, if I'm in a bind and I need to buy a plane ticket for somewhere to get to Tijuana in a hurry, you do that. I could literally use my card. It will subtract out the Dogecoin at that moment. So I could basically run business using a spending account, using a debit account if I wanted to pay for it and have it come out of my Doge supply, or if I wanted to use a card similar to what you're using with Doge card.
So my question to you is, do they lend out your Doge or do they lend out your, I guess, like if you have some sitting around in like a checking account, is it like a bank? Do they lend it out?
That's a good question. But my checking account or my savings account in there, I have my brokerage savings account that's getting 3.75%, but I don't know if they are lending Doge out. Those kind of practices would defeat Robinhood single-handedly because what's in Robinhood's best interest? Protect the Doge community because their portfolio is heavily weighted in Dogecoin. So,
well, I mean,
I never really
the only reason I
why
asked,
people fled.
Well, the only reason I ask is because I actually had a big chunk of Doge in Gemini, and Gemini, when I was earning last year when things were good, they were giving me almost 9% back in Doge, but they were also giving that same Doge out to short against me with Barry Silbert. So they forget the name of the company that they were lending out to. They still are. So I wonder if Robinhood is also doing that. If not, that's
not
awesome.
Be in their best interest. It would not be in their best interest.
But it isn't even in Gemini's best interest for them to do that either, because if you have all your money in Dogecoin, when Dogecoin doesn't do well, they're losing all of that as well.
That rate changes though. Like I still get the emails for that. It's like 1% right now or something because there's no interest in shorting. So that's their disincentive for you not to
Robinhood's also shielded themselves with stocks. They're not fully diversified.
Well, that is the best
crypto.
No, which actually works in their favor in a lot of when
with the banking
I feel
side of it.
safe with them. Yeah, I feel safer with them than I would with a lot of these other exchanges that kind of pop up and disappear. But I think there's a definite people in the Doge community who are like, get your money off exchanges, hurry up, but you can't purchase more Doge without using an exchange at this point, unless you are a miner. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, a miner, you don't have to technically buy it, but
Well, it's the only way to get Doge without
Right.
buying it on an exchange would be
or
if you're a
getting it from
miner
someone else, yeah.
or gifted. Yeah.
Easily, yeah. That's what there
So
needs to
exchanges,
be. That's what there
yeah.
needs to be, is a person-to-person Dogecoin market, basically.
For me,
So you
I
don't
want to be
have
able
to
to
buy
have.
it.
I got a garage. You want to set up some rigs? Let's do it.
Let's go.
For me, it's nice to be able to get to a sell button in matter of a face recognition scan, because I can tell you what, if the ship goes to proof of stake, I didn't come here for proof of stake. I came here for a cheap proof of work solution to basic business needs, right? To small business, to e-commerce, an actual solution that needs to happen in order to elevate that demographic to the next level. Because right now they get smoked from the left and the right, from the banks and the credit card processing, all that stuff. And we as consumers don't understand it. We just go in and pay. Like when I go to the gas station, go in there, I know that it's cheaper for me to actually use debit if I'm going in to buy like some snacks in a convenience store. But if I go in there, and that person that's working is a dick to me, like it gives me some attitude because I need him to reach back there and grab a cigar for me. Oh, guess what? I'm hitting debit. I'm costing you money. I know that. I know how that works.
He has no idea.
No idea. But yeah, you see what I'm saying?
So do we need
out of 12
exchanges
cents.
then? Like, do we need, as of right now, we need exchanges basically to work
Need
with
exchanges
us for
to do
Dogecoin?
stocks?
No, it's the Dogecoin only I'm talking. Would we, do
No, but
we
I'm
need
just-
to work? Yeah, but do we need Dogecoin to work like with the exchanges now for it to be how we want it to be used as of right now where it stands?
Right now, we're pretty divided right down the middle in terms of the community on who wants what and who's
Well,
building what.
how are you going to get your Doge without an exchange?
That's what I'm saying. That's it,
You gotta
right?
be
Without
a
the
miner,
exchange,
or
we
you
can't get
gotta
it.
sell it. You gotta sell
Yeah.
something for it. It's got to be given to you, or you gotta earn it.
And if you wanted to trade that back to fiat, the exchange is the only option to get that money back. Unless you are just 100% relying on Dogecoin, which unfortunately we're not there yet. But it's awesome if we could be, because then we can eliminate them altogether, or at least just buy on the exchange, take off the exchange, and then just have it for yourself. Though the problem that I see, and we talked about this before, was the average person who we really need more people, strength in numbers with Dogecoin. It's a 55-step process.
Yeah. No, it definitely, there's room for simplification, and in the decentralized world, it's just not a simple concept.
Live update, guys.
What's that?
Misha Bor. I wonder if Misha's listening, because he tweeted 35 seconds ago. Dear Dogecoin, the only reason why I kept repeating this stuff over and over again is because I knew that each thread would convince maybe just one person to listen. Withdraw your crypto to your private non-custodial wallet. Out of exchanges, out of earn programs.
Talking to you, Kev.
I don't do earn programs anymore. I have
Yeah, I
no
don't
earn
either.
programs. I did for a while, and because I was like, this is awesome. And also it sucks. Everybody's in a different position here, and if Dogecoin to you means paying the bills, I get it. If Dogecoin to you means maybe in a year from now retiring, win Lambo, that's awesome for you. I don't need, and this is not a brag, I don't need Dogecoin for finances anymore. I worked a long time before Dogecoin existed, and for me, I really do want to figure out a way to make it easier for other people to have it. I don't even say buy it, just say have it and use it, because that to me is the most important thing. And I know right now they go hand in hand with numbers, and a day like today is not going to convince anybody to jump in and buy it. It sucks.
Isn't that the beauty? The beauty of
Right.
Doge is to be able to do whatever you want with it. I mean, it's open
Yeah.
source right now. If you want to do something that's out of this world, you're more than welcome to do that, right? So
Yeah, and it sucks. And the double-edged sword of that is that anybody, you know, Bat Stalis, my friend, he could easily do anything he wants because no one can stop him. No, and that's the other. It's the beauty and it's the curse, but that's what decentralization is supposed to be about: is that you can do those things, and that's why I hate being like, "Well, you're going to get taxed. Be careful." You shouldn't even have to have that conversation, but we do, of course. And we're trying to scare people at like, "Oh, well, Dogecoin and Bitcoin is just used for black market activities," but no, really, Dogecoin is the one that stands out as of right now as the cheapest, lowest, fastest transaction fees. As is, it doesn't, in my opinion, does not need to be changed. It can be tweaked, but it doesn't need to be changed. And right now, it's a brilliant, whether an accident or not by Billy, it's a brilliant accident. And I think that, and even Elon saying that, it's just like, leave it as is.
Do you think
that was why I
leave
put
it.
that meme out this week.
Do you think that 100 years ago, there were 4 people sitting in a room drinking good, clean wine and cocaine-filled Coca-Cola, and they were talking about what can we do to get the rest of the world to understand that cars are better than horses? It just made like there's no easy way for them to get into a car. Like with a horse, you hop in the carriage and you go. And for a car, you gotta drive, you gotta put your foot in the pedal, you gotta understand how it works. Like who's gonna support it when it breaks? Like this conversation sounds like it might have happened back then, but
you can't shoot a dead horse, right?
It just happened. And maybe that's how things are gonna work with Doge.
The car solved a problem that the horse couldn't. Is basically what it ended up. It could go farther, faster, for longer.
Yeah,
Doge
have you ever seen the like anti-car ads from back then? The like newspaper cartoon drawings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love seeing the ads for the random accessories they would have, like the goat holder. You could have a goat stand on the sideboard of your car while you drive. I'm dead serious. It's out there.
Yeah. But it's just interesting to think that there was like a pro movement and an anti movement, and yes,
the .com
the
era.
car solved. Yeah, the .com era. I mean, it was people that were just like, I don't need, or CDs and MP3s. You remember that interview with the guy from whatever records, and he was like, people don't want MP3s. It's a fad. They want to hold a CD in their hand. People like the feeling of being able to buy something and possess it, and now you can't buy one in the store anymore. So
but you can buy records.
Yeah, you can buy records. It's still a niche market, though. Do you own a record player?
Good point.
We do at our family cabin.
Okay.
I don't personally, but our family does.
You got me there, partner.
Technically speaking,
my dad has.
I still use my 8-track
I love using it. I love you every time
My
I do. We
uncle's
play it.
brother.
It's always moving.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's retro right now. It's cool to be retro, and obviously, like the hipster movement, everyone's like, I carry my vinyl around when I go to Starbucks. That's fine.
Oh God.
But
Don't come to Ohio.
There are a million cryptos. So how do you differentiate Dogecoin and Bitcoin when the average person that I know doesn't want to talk about any of them? And they're just like, well, I feel safer. I just started using my credit card. I feel safer using that. So you really do have to, we are younger and we're fairly new to crypto, 10, 15 years in right now. So we're at just the beginning. But that being said, most people are going to remember, wasn't that the one that was at $60,000 at one day, and then now it's at 1,500, and they're going to remember, wait, wasn't that SNL thing with where? Oh yeah, I remember my sister-in-law got me involved and made me buy $500 worth, and now it's worth $10. That kind of hype and stuff kills me more because you know, so much garbage came out of that, you know, baby Lambo and Shiba Shib and all that garbage.
We
And I'm
knew.
just like, we all know here that Dogecoin really is an awesome currency. Like the math behind it is just so well done.
And it's
So
actually decentralized.
correct. It
That's
really
the big
is.
one.
So I just getting the word out to other people, and it is because of Elon. I mean, he really does champion it. I hate to say that because I'm not on the like, we love you, God, Elon, but he really does see the potential behind it.
You got a
So,
payment background.
yeah.
I just talked to you
And
about what a value is. Where's the value?
yeah,
Well,
and
what
it
if
is
you
cool to
bought
be
some
able to
from a
go to,
store and that price pumped, and at the same time, you didn't have to worry about the $36,000 that you lose. You saved it and it pumped.
yeah. And you
A
know, you
deal
go
in
to
double negatives.
Tesla.com, it's just like it's going on Blocky Doge website. The number there is not, it's Doge. The number is Doge. That's the way we want to think about it is I bought a slice of pizza for 400 Doge. I don't want to say, well, if I do the math, an hour ago it was worth $6. Now it's worth $2 and I got a discount. You just want to basically take out the other equation and just say one Doge and one Doge. That's the hope. But that hope needs to happen after people are kind of hodling for maybe a miracle. They're thinking that, you know, how many people are back in this last month where like they're like, dude, look at the charts, man. We're going to $1 next week.
Wallace has got 55 days. But the thing is, too, but Bitcoin was supposed to be what we're talking about right now, right?
It was meant to
When
be
I
a
say
currency.
I don't want to deal in double negatives. So what do I mean by that? Why would somebody like me want to buy Bitcoin for a currency standpoint? Is because you got to pay the gas, right? The gas on that's it's not environmentally friendly. All the things that you want to talk about, as Doge is, and that's a double negative to me. If I got to pay taxes and I got to pay gas, right? Or even if I want to exchange it on Robinhood, there's like a $200 spread on that. They're making money on that. That's to cover the gas, right? Wrong?
Yeah. No, right.
Exactly.
Zero hash
So
is
it's
the
just
same thing. I can't pick a number when I want to buy Doge. It's the
I think
crappiest number they give me, and it's always more.
Yeah,
Unless I want to sell, it's always less.
Market buy,
Yeah,
basically.
and you don't really, you can't set limits when I'm buying Doge on certain things. I just hope we don't have to deal with that anymore. But that's just, you know, wishful thinking in far, far future. I'm at the baby step. I'm at the baby step age where I'm just like, I just want that one app. I know I keep talking about it, but I want that one app where I can buy, sell, and transfer to everybody that I know. Coming soon.
Is X. Is that
That's
not
the
X?
hope. But I'm a little bummed today that you can buy Twitter Blue for $8 in fiat today. That kind of sucks. I would rather them put it on hiatus for a little while and introduce it to Doge a month later, two months later. There was really no rush other than the fact that maybe, well, they overpaid.
They're shoveling money out $4
Yeah,
million a day
they
I
overpaid
think the
big
rush is
time.
to get the numbers, true numbers.
to not
right?
go
He's
out of
rushing.
business.
Shareholders
That
are like,
too.
yay. But $8
He's
a month is a
rushing.
lot. Sorry, but I'm not doing it. I don't care enough to do it.
Yeah.
But
Wait, he's rushing for the data, right? I don't know if you saw his tweet today, but he was talking about how the $8 is going to weed off all the people that are running on 9 accounts and
Yeah.
running on burners and things like that, because it's going to naturally weed them out, right? So now you can get realistic data points that you can actually sell to a corporation as to why you would want to use Twitter still for marketing.
That's going to
That's
help
true.
them in the long term.
But you're still going to have bots and stuff that are going to pay zero, right? And just keep expanding every day. All my Russian girls that follow me, they're still going to be there.
Well, if you can make
Unless they
more
go
than
to
$8,
Ukraine.
then what's to stop you? And, you know, how many of those accounts that tell you I'm a student and I need you to here are my keys to my wallet. I need you to cash it out. How much are they making on one account? Is it $8? Is it $1 per account? So they set up 100, or is it $10 and so they set up 10?
You can't
Because if it's
verify
the
multiple
latter,
accounts.
well, they're gonna pay $8,
Yeah.
and they're gonna get
Has to be tied
banned,
to the
and
phone
it's
number.
not gonna be a problem. Because you can ghost a phone number, you can ghost an email, you can ghost an IP, and you can look like a brand new individual. The only way you can't is with an ID.
So you think there might come a point where we're scanning, like for example, if I was buying Dogecoin on an exchange, most exchanges now require what? You got to sit there with your phone or your computer and show your ID, right, front and back, and you got to wait
Yeah.
for
Oh man, I
verification.
forgot about that.
Well, I didn't yesterday when I switched phones. I've been switching phones like left and right this last week. I'm going from iPhone 13 mini to 14 Pro to 14, back and forth. Nightmare with the eSIM. Don't get me started. But what's worse was Robinhood logged me out, and to get back in, I thought I stopped using the Google Authenticator, and I had to reach out to customer service and use my driver's license. Luckily, their websites and their customer service was really good because I was back up and running with a password in less than an hour. But I remember last year, right before SNL, trying to get onto Voyager, and I had to wait 15 days. So I just gave up. I was like, next, moving
That's
on.
good.
What's the next exchange?
Lucked out.
Yeah, I know. But not easy. Back to the not fun, not easy to buy crypto.
Yep.
And who's trustworthy, right?
Yeah,
Crypto's not
down
FDIC
to.
insured.
So, hey guys, we're at 2 hours. I want to be cognizant of both of your time, but also give some time to have like some, I guess, closing thoughts from a vendor perspective on some things, and then we want you to help us pick a meme of the week. We're going to give away 420 Doge.
Oh, nice.
Bet.
Woo.
So yeah, I guess the main question I have, I'll ask one and then Slick, you ask one if you can think of one. But well, I'm stealing yours. How about you ask yours, and then I'll think of one.
I have a lot.
I know, but like a closing thought one, something that these guys can shoot out to the broader audience that you think would be helpful.
This is a question you said? You need a question? Yeah. Where do you, I guess, like, where do you want Doge to be the most? I mean, we've talked a lot about scalability, right? So, I mean, what are the biggest things that you're looking for from the devs to help you guys progress in your endeavors?
Good question.
Merch, you want to go first?
Yeah, I guess from my end, I mean, for me at least, the devs have already helped me immensely to get Blocky Doge merch and stuff off the ground with the back end of Easy Dogecoin Gateway. I think probably just like I was talking about earlier with the implementation of those things. Like, if I knew what I was looking at, absolutely I would make a video or something to help guide others that have small shops that want to accept Doge. That I think would be the biggest help I can see. Yeah.
Giving us an avenue to add more to the
basically,
force.
it's an easy on. It'll be a much easier on ramp for existing stores that wanted to sell their products in Doge. I mean, they could use something like what Kev does with Coinbase Commerce, but Coinbase takes a fat percentage. Because I looked into that, and as soon as I got to like test it, and it was like, you're gonna get this X amount of Doge for this X amount of, it costs this much. We're taking this much, and I was like, nope, scratch that. Not doing
It's
that.
Dilbert for you.
But that being said, they are helping the average person do it.
True.
And I think sometimes that's worth, paying a little extra for.
You're paying for the convenience of not having to set up the Easy Dogecoin gateway, basically.
I think the foundation could use that as an avenue for a revenue stream, right? Like, can you give us 300 Doge and we can help somebody, have you help? You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's smart.
A service that it's absolute service that could be provided to increase other endeavors, and at the same time, you're teaching people who can help teach other people. So eventually, everybody's helping the thing scale.
And that already happens even at this level where we are, like, I didn't ask, like, K Blueser reached out to me. I didn't reach out to him. He was like, if you need any help, let me know. And heck yeah, I need help. But
Give him a nice tip.
yeah, I did.
I figured he did.
He was a nice dude. Went way out of his way, and it was like 2, 3 in the morning we were doing this. But he always messages me when he has car trouble, and just like Kev does, something goes wrong with his car. I'm usually the first call.
And you were spot on, my friend.
Oh, nice. Glad to hear it. I like being right.
I wish you lived closer. I'd pay you in Doge.
I'd happily take it.
Some work done. What do you got for a question?
You
got to follow that one up.
I'm just stealing yours anyway. What advice would you give to a new merchant who is coming in the space and is interested into it and wants to pick up this game and run with it?
A lot of work. It's any business, though, if you're gonna run one. Just be honest, and if you can have your entire supply chain in Dogecoin, do it that way, because then you're less worried about whatever the fiat value is.
That's good.
That'd be my advice.
Advice.
I would say too that really think about what is your passion for Dogecoin? And if you were starting a business, always think about, ask people. Not everybody wants a flag. Let's put it that way. I'll use that as a perfect example. Not everybody drinks wine. Not everybody's 21 where we could sell wine. What is something that people need that you can give them versus, say, something you like or you think would be cool? That helps the longevity of your product and your business. And also, I think that from the get-go, just create a roadmap, whether it's on a piece of paper or something first, because it can get really overwhelming. I've helped start up a lot of businesses. And what happens is you start to cut corners as you move forward and it becomes more overwhelming. I think that start small and start to, don't have 55 products. Maybe have one or two things, have a few hats, introduce a t-shirt when you feel comfortable, move on from there. And that's why people will be like, hey man, you should have like this flag, or you should make an Elon flag. And I was like, no, I can't get involved. It's just more for fun. But start small, really understand what you think you want to do with that, and ask everybody questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions, and don't be afraid, like you said, Merch, to be honest. We've had a lot of people, broken wine bottles, missing flags. They have to understand that you are a small business and you're starting out, and nothing is free. If someone came to my house and said, oh, well, you own a wine company, so you should just give me wine. Or I'm sure you have flags. I have 50,000 followers. You owe me one. I'll tweet it out. No names mentioned. I think you have to stand your ground and just be honest. Like, listen, I pay for this stuff up front. I'm taking this money out of my own pocket to do this, and help me grow. And it will only benefit Dogecoin in the long run as a small business, where more and more people will get comfortable and want to copy you and also start a small business. That's how it starts.
Transparency is key, right? A lot of people come into this with products with no transparency.
Yeah, or a product that they think is cool, and everyone's like, yeah, maybe don't do that. Or maybe that won't make you money, but you may have a passion project. Sometimes they don't mix well together. You have to do something that somebody might want to buy from you.
And another thing is do something you enjoy. Like the only reason I'm selling hats now is because I wanted a hat for me.
Mhm.
Like, I didn't think anybody else would want my specific, number 39 Blocky Doge hat. They probably only want it because it looks like Billy's, but
Me.
to the point, it's still like just based off an NFT, and it's something I wanted. Like, I was only going to buy one, and then I ended up having to buy 12 because that was a minimum order, but I was like, maybe somebody will want one. and they fucking flew out of here. So it's just do what you enjoy, otherwise it will just be work. You'll hate getting that message. Like, just sold another one, now I gotta go through all that ordeal. If you have that mentality, you'll just have a terrible time.
That's our mentality with the podcast, really. I mean, Jimmy can attest to that. It's like we're just here to have fun. Like if it gets to the point where it's like too overbearing or it's too much work, it's
It's
well,
not
that's
worth
not what
it.
we want.
Like
No.
way back in the day, I used to run on Facebook. It was a page called the Wagon Mafia, and I sold stickers and same thing, T-shirts, all of that. But I made everything in house. Like I had a vinyl plotter cutter, I had a silk screen press, I had all that stuff in my basement, and I enjoyed it to start. But after like 2 or 3 years, it was like, God, like it was great money and, set a lot of money aside, but it wasn't worth it then. It was just work and I didn't enjoy it. So that's my one big thing is enjoy what you do. Because people can feel that.
Yep.
Hard to find genuine. I mean, you can feel that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Feel
Oh,
when
yeah.
somebody's genuine.
it's called an aura. I'm not sure if you guys know how this works, but
Sorry, haven't checked my feng shui.
Chakra rocks are aligned.
But I thank you guys because remember Jimmy, it was like maybe a couple months ago back in the old DMs, and you were asking around of how to get one of these started, and I was just thinking in my head, I'm always like, oh man, I would love to have a Doge TV where it was just basically like little short skateboard clips and going around interviewing people and working in film. I was like, yeah, that is so much work. But the thing is, people may not appreciate it now, but you're doing something that no one else is doing. And it might come to a point where you look back and you say, man, we're doing this. We're now getting paid to do this. And it's your full-time gig and it's fun. You started it out as something that you're passionate about, talking about, Doge and the space. You got in early because it's kind of cool and no one's doing that. And I think that's unique and it's fun. And there is a lot of people out here in the Doge community that appreciate it because I'm like a lot of people, I'm constantly looking for like YouTube videos and podcasts and stuff related to Doge and the community because I genuinely really like it. I met a lot of cool people and I want to continue doing that. And I think that it's important.
Well, it's one of those things is, we need you guys as much as, the other way around. Right. So
yeah,
we came in here for the right reasons and we're going to just sticking to it. I mean, we got to hold ourselves accountable and there's a lot of misinformation in our space and our job is to basically sort through it and give people a perspective. And it's a lot of fun. I mean, I hate to say that our goal is to be in a studio and get paid for this someday. Yeah, like that would all be cool. And we joke around about it. We joke around about it because look, I mean, we got 100 people watching now. We're not like Matt Wallace or anything, but someday it would be cool to all be in a podcast room together, like all of us sitting on an actual couch doing this.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. I could have real wine.
yeah, but I do
There
like
you go.
I
Coke with
do like
cocaine.
your digital 8-bit mouth popping up and down with only 2 frames.
It does. It works well though. It feels like a badly dubbed anime.
That's exactly
I want to
what
go
it's
back to
supposed feel like.
I didn't get to answer your first question, but I do have to. Can I add something quickly to the first question we talked about with Doge?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, then goodbye, guys. See you later.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
And that's a wrap. And scene. I know Dogecoin is decentralized. My goal, though, is I hope, and the developers do so much, and it's easy to dump on people that are not putting in as much effort because a lot of them are doing this while also working other jobs, and they work nonstop to make sure that Dogecoin runs smoothly, and I appreciate it. I hope that with the new kind of move forward with the foundation that we are able to see a more I guess you could say, centralized version of coherency within the community, because as somebody who's familiar with it, I know who's the good guys and who's the bad guys for the most part. But a lot of people don't, and a lot of people come on here new and they have no idea what's going on. And just like in regular life, a lot of people need to have their hand held.
They're preyed on too.
Yeah, absolutely. So it would be really cool. And this is when you asked before, like, what's your one thing that you want? Is I would love for Dogecoin.com to even be more informative and to possibly have everything, one Dogecoin to rule them all website, because and to know that it's official, to know who's behind it, or at least understand a little bit more about it. And I want the foundation to be on the Dogecoin.com website. I want possibly all the how-tos officially recognized, and if you guys and everybody starts to create PDFs or how-tos, that can be integrated like a wiki basically for Dogecoin, but 100% official. So there's no way for bad actors to get involved in that as well and have things, really done research. I know I'm asking a lot here, but I would like it to be easier for people to be able to jump into Dogecoin instead of it just being so overwhelming. Sometimes that they're just like, you know what, forget it. I'll just use cash.
That's a good take. When's the last time you've been on Dogecoin.com? Have you been on since the facelift?
Yes, and like I said, I think it is coming along really well, and it's starting to look awesome, and it's becoming more informative.
Yeah.
And I know they have some merchandise too, right?
Yeah, they do
Or is it
actually.
the foundation? I think they do. So I was like, whoa, who's behind this? Interesting. But a lot of people don't know where a lot of this stuff comes from, and that is the strength of decentralization. But also, we are in the know. We know when Billy tweets something, it could be a sarcastic joke, not to take it seriously. We know when Elon tweets something, it's not the end all be all. A lot of people don't, and you kind of got to hold their hand, and that's what I keep going back to. Is that I would love to be able to work with people too and figure out how to make it easier for everybody overall.
Good point.
Easy use. It's the main topics of today. I mean, with Twitter integration to simple wallet.
That'll be the
or
big one, I
website
think,
integration.
that accomplishes what you're looking for, Kev, is XApp.
When X.com.
That I don't really care about, but I think it'll make it easier, like, to your point, to have everything in one spot. You'll be able to buy, sell. I don't know if you'll be able to sell, but you'll be able to buy products and probably the currency as well, because he applied as a payment processor today for Twitter.
I saw that. I'm surprised it didn't make bigger news with the Dogecoin price, but
it's a big deal.
We'll see. It is a big
Come
deal.
from that industry. I mean, I had a nice
But
little
most
brief
people
stint
are
at
more
PayPal.
concerned with. Most people were more concerned with the live.
The FTX and Sol
Spaces
crashing.
today. Yeah, or in Spaces when he spoke and was speaking today, they were waiting for just him to say Dogecoin or something like that. And I think that I just hopefully it's more on a not a joking, like obscure level, but like cohesive, like pathway moving forward. One can hope.
Picking up what he's putting down, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, guys. What do you say we pick a meme of the week?
Meme time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it. Just to see what the options are.
We got option 1 from @morehodl. Hodl tools.
That one's pretty good.
That's good. I am a huge fan of cut and paste kind of stuff, and I think I'm old school, but that's memes back in the day were just so poorly put together, or like. But I come from like comics and zine background, and I kind of still appreciate a good copy and paste with a face on a GIF like that. I like it.
That one's good.
This one's from Celeste Villanueva.
She's got good stuff.
Her memes are always
She's a good
gold.
sheep, man.
She is. She definitely needs to be on here.
We've been trying. It's just trying to fit everything in everybody's time. We'd love to have Celeste on.
True.
Let's
It's
see
our
here.
biggest difficulty.
When's Elon coming on?
Bet.
Oh, that's a surprise. Don't spoil
Oh,
it.
next week.
Yep. Tomorrow.
We need to
don't
get
wanna be on
Sheens
that.
on here. I love this one.
Just these hands. The Mike Tyson tattoo.
Yeah, anyone here beat Mike Tyson? I did in Nintendo.
I did. Yes.
Yeah.
Mike
Did you
Tyson
just
I don't-
blitz that?
is so hard.
He's hard, but I think Bald Bull is harder.
I remember Bold Bull being extremely hard, and King Hippo even.
King Hippo is a tough one.
Before the like guides and stuff came out, you didn't know that you had to wait for his like pants to drop.
Yeah. Do you remember those like Nintendo magazines where you'd like pay like
yeah.
$20 to come in the mail after like a year and a half, and you're like, oh man, there's some tips on here. How to get past level 6 on Contra.
Yeah. King
I'm
Griffey
old.
Jr. home run code.
Oh my god. This one's from @Doge_radio.
That's good.
Oh god.
Dude, his face is so memeable.
It is.
Yeah.
And CZ too.
Yep, he's definitely.
Depending on what hairstyle he's got. Hair or no hair?
I like
I think
that.
this
Billy's
is the
meme the other
last
day
one
was funny.
from. I think this is the last one from you guys. It's another Celeste one. The rest were.
This
Oh
one's
yeah.
good.
That
That
was
was
good.
that was the one I was gonna turn in, but I think Slick had already done it.
Yeah,
Classic
That's got,
meme
that's got
template.
my vote. That's got mine right there.
she summed up the whole day in one meme.
Straight up. Like, how much shit can we pack into one day?
Wasn't even noon yet.
So, Kev, what's your vote?
This one right here. I'm
Same.
going for Celeste.
This one's my vote as well. This
I
is
think that
too good.
settles it. Do
It's
we
a
have
good one.
enough?
We had some good, there's some good ones. I like. We had 2 Nintendo ones. I like that.
True. Some
Do-
pixel action in there.
Do
Do
we have
love my
enough in our
pixel
wallet
action.
right now?
Yeah.
Slick, do you know?
Hmm?
We do.
Don't worry, I could tell you how to buy off an exchange. But first, not to be one wall, I'm going to need you to buy 2 ledgers, but definitely save the receipt. And do not put the password in your head. You got to write that shit down.
Get a piece of metal and stamp it.
I'm just going to end. I've lost a few. I do. Does anybody else do? I don't know. On iPhone, it's what Notes it's called, and on Google, it's Android. It's Is it Keynote keywords or
Yeah,
like,
Samsung
Keynote.
Notes.
yeah. Have any of you guys
Keynote's
like copy and
PowerPoint.
pasted it in there?
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is not Keynote. Sorry, the one with the light bulb icon for the Gmail too. And I'm always like, this is where I'll put my stuff. I just copy and paste it in there. I'm like, that's probably not safe, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Dump it in.
Keep.
Be like
yeah,
the
Google Keep.
what was the guy that got? It was earlier this year. He was some guy that was holding Bitcoin for somebody, some big scam. He kept his keys on like Google on his Google Drive. Do you
Oof.
remember that? It was a ton of Bitcoin. They were some crazy chick in New York doing all these crazy videos. She was like trying to be a rapper and stuff.
Oh yeah, they're in jail now, aren't they?
Oh God, I'd say so.
They tried
It
to
was-
flee the country with like hundreds of millions of dollars.
It was
Yeah.
over
It
$1
was
billion
like-
in Bitcoin.
It was like Instagram pictures from the jet.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's the one they were like, "Come and get me."
But you would hope that Google Drive is kind of safe. I mean, I don't blame anybody for putting that kind of stuff on there. You would think like, oh, well, they're secure, right?
It's
Eh,
secure. I mean, it's pretty secure. Honestly, if someone
Is anything
got,
secure?
no,
Not really. I mean, if I kept it in my
Exactly.
house on a piece of paper in a safe with my house burnt down, yeah, I could have the safe. But if somebody robbed my house and they took the physical safe, whether they can get into it or not, they took the safe. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a
if
tough
someone
call.
accesses my Google, I'm screwed anyway. Like
Oh yeah,
crypto aside, right? I've emailed
Life.
myself IDs. You know,
Yeah,
my wife is like, "Hey, can you send me a copy of your ID?" I'm like, "Yeah, let me email it to you." It's like,
I always do that.
yeah, I don't like delete it. Like I'm so screwed if someone gets into there. So
I'm like, if
Forget
someone
about
wants
the
to steal
credit
my identity, who cares, man? I'm not doing anything wrong.
yeah, what are you
It's
gonna
like,
pay
wow,
my
this guy
student loan?
sure's on Pornhub a lot.
And with that, thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Yeah. But
Just kidding.
Yeah, but
good
for
shit.
real, I would say this is actually a pretty good spot here because we covered the meme of the week, and really appreciate your guys' insight.
Yeah, hopefully it was helpful to someone at some point.
Oh, definitely.
Now your puppets are routed.
I guarantee.
It's routed.
People have learned some stuff.
Sure. And hey, like I said, future, your puppets are routed now, man. So it's really easy to just pick up on a conversation we're having in an upcoming episode. So
Yeah,
it ain't the last time.
Turn some live stream game action into random podcasts.
Nice.
Fine by me.
I had a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Me too.
I appreciate
I thank you guys so much for letting us be here.
Yeah, it was awesome. I appreciate the invite for sure. It was totally out of the blue.
Yeah, we kind of jammed about it here and there, and then I was just like, you know what, we just make this happen, and y'all were just ready. And I was like, okay, we're ready. Let's roll.
So, and I got are you blockydogemerch.com?
Yes.
That's right.
Okay, and goodclean.wine, not .com, goodclean.wine, and DM me on Twitter, hellokevvo, if you want a flag. I have one flag left actually, but I got some really exciting things coming up. If you guys will know, next month is Dogecoin's 9th birthday. I believe it's December 6th. So stay tuned.
Queen's actually thinking about giving away a flag too, possibly.
Nice.
Something we've been discussing. We have an extra one, so we thought about doing a giveaway.
Well, you guys let me know. I actually I took over for myself to keep kind of costs down, but I took over and I've been doing the stuff myself in Photoshop. So if you ever want, I have your files. I could easily change colors, move things around, and get some more made. If you ever want to do giveaways, we could do it together.
TV screen right behind you. It'd be cool if there was a flag that looked just like that.
Send me file, see what I can do. I know, and MetaH wanted a dress. I don't know how I can pull that off, but
if you wanted, maybe I could find a way to put the link to it on our website. So, and you can we don't want anything, but if you just wanted people to, oh shoot, they sell a real sheep's flag and it's a link to you, man. Same thing with Blocky Doge. Just let us know.
We'll
We'd love
talk
to help
Let's
out.
do it. That'd be cool.
For sure.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
It's been an absolute
honor. Man.
Thank you so much.
It's been a lot of fun.
Blast.
Let the good times roll, baby.
I'm going to go buy my ledger now.
Now I want each and every one of you to say to the moon. Just kidding, don't do that. No, I said no.
I'm going to do it. Too late.
Diamond Plus.
All right.
Very
We'll catch you
good.
all next time.
Yes,
Peace.
sir.
There you go.
See ya.